Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 67th episode of Slime Time Sidequest, an official Dragon's Den podcast. This is one of your hosts, Platy-M3.
And this is Yangus the Legendary Bandit. Emphasis on the is.
Yes, because it wasn't you last time. Yeah, Blue said this is not Yangus the Legendary Bandit. But, you know, we got you back, Yangus. The not Yoda-ing Blue Star had to stand in for you last time.
Well, I'm sure she did a fantastic job, so...
Oh, yeah, she sure did. Although she made me do like a 60-second intro, but without her here today, everyone can scroll down to pages 10 through 20. We'll see the entire script for this episode's intro. It's a new year, we got plenty of time today, and how fortunate that in this moment in time, we've reached Sidequest 6-7!
Sides of cringe. Sorry, I had to quote that thing somewhere. For quick little background on that one, I didn't realize what time we were going to be starting to record this episode. Totally missed it when Platy posted it in one of his messages, so I had to repost a GIF that I found of Voldemort dying of cringe where he's disintegrating at the end of one of the Harry Potter movies. But yes, I guess I should have told Blue Star I found Platy's mute button a while back, because just had to mute Platy as soon as he started that 6-7 nonsense. But, oh well. Sounds like she sped things along last time just fine without it. Well, thank you all for joining us today. We've got a swan of slime timers a swarm, as it just got changed. We got a swarm of slime timers today talking their favorite games they played in 2025. So, thank you, Pendy, Twinkie, Jay, Jen, and Aust for sharing your favorites today.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. See you later.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Good podcast.
You're welcome, alligator.
Great job, everybody. Good job. All right, everybody. That's in for this episode. If you'd like to sponsor, if you'd like to support the podcast and the Dragon's Den, all right. Well, joking aside, I'll unmute Platy here in a moment. But before I do, I'll remind you, as always, on our year-end podcast, we have the disclaimer that that these aren't necessarily the best games that were released in 2025. They're the best ones that we played. So they could be a 2025 release, could be a remake, a remaster, something that could be dating back to the 80s, something that's from recent years. Whatever the case, these are going to be games that all of us played either for the first time or something that we just kind of possibly got back into in 2025. But there we go. Now, let's see what we've got. Looks like we're going to be starting with you, Jen, so take it away.
Thank you so much, Yangus. So the first game that I wanted to talk about this year is one that is not a 2025 release, but the 1.6 version of that game did come out on Switch on 2025. So Stardew Valley 1.6 for the Switch. I did a perfection run. First time I've ever done a perfection run for Stardew Valley. I married Sebastian because I know you're all dying to know who my spouse was. And we decided not to have any kids. Immediately got rid of that crib. Just never really enjoyed having kids in Stardew. Felt like they get frozen in time and I play too long to actually enjoy that, where they're like toddlers forever and I'm abandoning them to go live out my dreams on Ginger Island. So figured that I wouldn't have kids, but I got to enjoy all the new features of the game. So they added a desert festival. I used the Meadowlands farm. I love the blue grass that's part of that farm. There's the green rain. I loved it. Thought it was great. Everybody got to wear their cute winter outfits. The big treasure chest that you can just put on top of the small treasure chests and you have more room. The different books of power that make you run faster and stuff like that were great. The mastery ability that you get after you have mastered all of your different skills, you can get them one step beyond and get extra stuff for that. Love that. And being able to put hats on my dogs and cats, not just my horse. Fantastic. Although -1 point for not being able to put hats on turtles. I hope that's in 1.7 because that was disappointing. But overall, I really enjoyed the game. I was able to get all but 2 golden nuts, whatever they are, the golden coconuts or whatever they are, or whatever, I can't remember now. But I got all but 2, and then I had to use the Joja parrot to get the last 2. So I didn't get the little part where you don't, you get a little thing that says you didn't use Joja for anything if you don't use that. But I did not have the patience to try to find those last 2. And I went a community center run, not a Joja Mart run. That is the only thing that I was kind of tempted to do was a Joja Mart run, so I didn't lose Clint on Fridays, but I decided what the hey, I was close enough to finishing it that I might as well just do it that way. So really enjoyed the updates. I feel like they added a lot of quality of life stuff since last I played 1.4. And I never got to perfection in 1.4, so I really got to enjoy the entirety of the game and really, knock it out. Because it's on the Switch, I couldn't get achievements, and obviously there's a couple I wouldn't have from that run, but overall, really enjoyed it.
Nice. I haven't played that since like probably 0.2 or
Yeah.
like that. So.
Yeah, I haven't checked out the updates in a while. I really need to get back to it because Stardew Valley was probably like my top game of the last decade in the 2010s. It's just so excellent.
Yeah, the changes were really just enhancements. I was nervous that it was going to be like too much to do, but it was good. It was a good amount of stuff. I felt like they added a couple things that make it easier to start on Ginger Island. Like you get some tents, so you don't have to go home those first couple nights when you almost assuredly pass out immediately.
Yeah.
So I feel like they did angle it well. I still suck at fishing, and they made fishing a little bit easier by giving you some stuff earlier that helps. So you get the bait a lot quicker and things like that now, which just make life easier overall.
See, I was one of those who always liked the fishing. When I first played it, I did struggle for like, I don't know, a little while. And then it just sort of clicked and I eventually got it. But I think even like my wife still has problems with the fishing in the game.
I feel like it depends on the version you play too. I've heard that it's easier on PC than it is on console, but I don't know. Either way, yeah. I struggled with it. Obviously, I played vanilla because I was playing on Switch, but I've heard there's lots of mods that make it easier too. So,
Yeah. The last thing I played in it was when they added the island for the first time, and
oh wow.
I unlocked a lot of stuff. I got the farmhouse there and some of the coconuts, but I don't think I got them all. I got close to getting them all.
Yeah, it's really hard to get them all because a couple of them are just very, very difficult to find.
Yeah, it takes forever.
It's like if you don't have a checklist from the start, it's kind of like whenever I was playing, when I played Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake, and I had to go back and try and find everything with Nose for Treasure and like each of those secret areas in order to get all of the monsters and all of the mini medals. And like because I didn't use a checklist and I had to go back through to find everything, it made me want to blow my brains out. So they added the parrot that gets you the last couple, and it's worth it. It's worth the investment there.
Well, that's good. I can't stand, researching everywhere for one or two items.
Yeah, I've grown less fond of that as I get older and just have less time. It's like I used to get obsessive about those sort of things.
Yeah, it could get pretty rough for somebody who gets kind of perfectionisty.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gotten old and lazy and just want to move on with my life. Which is why I haven't gotten perfection on a couple games, or I haven't like 100% a couple games for my PlayStation 5, just because it was just too much redundancy and like grind to the highest level and get this thing that's nearly impossible and find every single one of the random things. And I'm just like, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, you really can't. Like, there's just too many games. Stardew Valley is probably one game I would want to perfect just personally, because it's like my favorite, but there's very few games that I would be willing to do that for anymore.
Even perfection of Stardew isn't necessarily every single thing you can do in the game, which I think is kind of nice.
Yeah.
I did that for Fantasy Life I that came out this past summer. I talked about that on the last episode. I made sure to max out every job life all the way. And I'm like, okay, I could get all the villagers, I could get all the items, I could do all the... No, that's okay. That was my end goal. My 100% was 100%ing the lives. So, yeah, you pick what you want to do, and you do it.
Oh, I did date everybody in Stardew, too. I did literally date every single person in that run. I didn't marry them all, but I dated them all and got them all to the max hearts.
Wow.
And I had my lucky rabbit foot so that they didn't have the meeting where they all yell at you and don't talk to you. I feel like I cheated a little by doing that, but you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
You got it.
Is that something they added later? Because
yes, yeah.
When I first played it, I got everybody to max hearts that I could, and married Abigail. But I don't think I took any like penalty for doing that. I did get the cutscene you're talking about where they all have an intervention. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently they like ignore you for a week and won't take gifts, and then they all are fine with you after. But if you have a lucky rabbit's foot, then they all like talk about how awesome you are instead. So I did that with all the guys and all the girls because I'm an equal opportunity awful human being. But it was great.
All right. Oh, that's a perfect transition because if we're talking about equal opportunity horrible human beings, then we must be ready for Yangus and his game.
Well, thank you, Play. I'm glad to see your real feelings are coming out for me.
There you go. Listen, I want to hear how many people die in your next game. So if you go in order here, so that might be your horrible human being part.
I think, honestly, with how I have them with my games ordered, I think it actually gets worse with higher death counts. Unintentionally, too. But yeah, my first game I'm going to talk about, I was originally going to have 3, but I'm like, hey, you know what, this one's going to be a little shorter to speak of, so what the hell, we'll throw it in just for the heck of it. First game I want to talk about is Rollercoaster Tycoon Classic via the Switch release. This is a collection of Rollercoaster Tycoon 1 and 2, and it finally got a home console release for the Switch in, I believe it was December of 2024, with a physical release coming out in spring 2025. It was either March or April, I can't quite remember, but it wasn't too long after. And I think the same thing is going to be happening this year now with Rollercoaster Tycoon 3. They're going to have a physical out in March or April. So anyway, this release of Classic includes all the expansion pack bundles and the free builder previously released its add-on content for other versions of RCT Classic, such as on like iPhone or Apple devices, other stuff like that. But for those who have not played a Roller Coaster Tycoon game, the games are amusement park management games where you take control of various parks, building rides, stalls, scenery, hiring staff, in order to attract in guests, earn money, and complete each park's goal. Goals and objectives range from getting a specific minimum number of guests by the end of a certain park year, have a park value of a certain amount, try and build 10 roller coasters with a certain excitement value, and so on. And on occasion, too, the one that always kind of caught me off guard was when the park is like, oh yeah, you need to have like this much in revenue for this particular kind of ride or stall, which is a little easier said than done with some of them, but all sorts of different goals for you to complete. RCT Classic reworks some of the map placements for 1 and 2 for a better sense of progression difficulty-wise. With the Switch version in particular, this release includes a number of shortcut buttons, button combinations for quick access to menu options, since you'll primarily be using like a Pro controller or your Joy-Cons. And with later updates, touchscreen controls were added, similar to the phone versions. I don't know if you can use touchscreen on the Steam Deck, but I would guess that they probably had it on there at some point too, or maybe they are going to do it. I don't know. But and as I previously mentioned, this release also includes all of the additional content / expansions for the original games. So players have like nearly 150 maps to play on, as well as being able to make their own scenarios from scratch. I got quite a bit of time put into this re-release. I think according to my Switch, I started it like on Christmas Day of 2024, but I figured it was close enough to the end of the year, and I played it so much last year. It's like, yeah, whatever, good enough. We'll throw it in. So yeah, I have 135 hours according to my Switch here, and I was really happy to see that this got a release on a console. I played the original and 2 a ton back in the day on my parents' computer. Wasn't very good at it, but I enjoyed just messing around, building stuff, and just watching all the little people go on the roller coasters and such that you built. So it was fun to revisit that, since I haven't played Roller Coaster Tycoon in such a long time, other than some like brief times playing it on my phone, which I definitely prefer having a controller or being able to use like a bigger screen with a touchpad if I want to. I actually really like how the game controls on the Switch. both playing it in handheld mode or using like a pro controller when sitting on my TV. It plays really well and it feels pretty nice. The only problem that the Switch version has is that if you zoom out a little too far on the map, then you have a lot of stuff going on screen. For some reason, it slows the game down, which I'm a little surprised at because none of the other versions of Classic have that. So hopefully that'll get addressed in the future, or maybe on Switch 2 it doesn't do that. But it's not something that's like a major deal breaker because really you're not going to be zooming the map out like crazy far most of the time. So it's not a huge deal breaker. But anyway, this is a really fun re-release. I'm glad that it's available now on a console for anybody who's curious, and it plays like really well on Switch, runs really well, looks well. The team's done a bunch of updates for it too. So I mean, it's Rollercoaster Tycoon. You can't go wrong with it. It's a classic. Hence the title of the game. But yeah, a lot of fun with this one, and I'm glad it's on consoles too. So for anybody who's like me and is a filthy console player instead of a computer player,
Yes. I'm a bad human too with you.
Part of that club.
Yep, I think we had determined that when we did the Steamy Games episodes this summer. Platty don't get steamy too much.
Yeah, it was basically just the podcast for me, I guess.
It really was. Everybody that signed up was a lot like me. Like, no, I don't play much. Dwayne, like, yeah, I haven't played a game there in 10 years. All right, so Yangus, you're all good with your Roller Coaster Tycoon talk?
Yeah, I'm good. I don't know if anybody else played it or has any memories of playing Roller Coaster Tycoon that they want to talk about real quick. But yeah,
Do you do the thing where if you launch the roller coaster out of your park, it doesn't count as a death in your park?
I didn't do that, but I did find out from, and there's a great YouTube channel if you want to watch anything about Roller Coaster Tycoon. It's called Marcel Vo is his name. He's got a ton of stuff about Roller Coaster Tycoon. He taught me a trick where if you build an underground, like if you build a little hill where an exit is for a ride, the guests will walk into that hill or like that little up bump of land. They'll fall into the abyss below, but the game won't count it as a death and it won't affect your park rating.
Yep.
I did that with one thing where after seeing one of his videos where I built a small ride where there was only one car for it. It just went like in a circle. They walked in and then they just fell. Well, then eventually the game's like, wait a minute, there's guests that keep disappearing. Something's not right. So I had to stop doing that. But I had to try it after seeing his video on that. So
Yeah, I've seen a couple videos of people like launching, like doing something where they like launch the roller coaster train like out of the park and somehow like would glitch it into not counting as anybody dying in your park.
oh yeah, there's some crazy stuff you can do.
So yeah, I haven't played myself, but my husband loves that game, and we talked about it a lot when they did another release of it, and that was one of the things we discussed was the ways you can just kill your people who come to your park.
Oh yeah, the scariest part is whenever something happens where like, oh, I don't remember what map it would have been, but there was one time it was like towards the end of my run in a park, like I had plenty of guests for the goal and everything, but out of nowhere I suddenly get the message where it's like there's been a crash on roller coaster, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't build anything that was a death trap. Something had gotten old enough that the safety mechanics on the roller coaster that are supposed to like be in effect, they weren't working correctly. So what happened was a train went flying into the station, not stopped by the brakes. Not because it broke down, but because the thing wore out, and it caused both of the train cars to just totally explode.
Oh my god!
I lost like 100 guests. It was like, oh my god! It was
I would never
the game's like
out of my way
like
to kill guests.
Notification after notification about all the guests that died.
And then it's like,
Scared
oh
the
yeah, I
crap
lost
out of me.
100 patrons. Like, how did you not end up closing after you killed 100 people?
I know. The funny thing is that the park rating took a hit, but then like a month later it got back up to where it had been. So
Oh yeah, totally understandable. He fixed
all
it.
these little people running around are just like, it's all good. We forgive you.
Funny you mentioned that because I was playing it last night and I don't remember what scenario it was, but I had a situation where I think it was August of year 3 and it was an October year 3 scenario. and I had a crash, and I was just panicking, doing everything I could do to get my rating up, just because of the one crash towards the end.
It's scary when it happens too, because like you usually have to have like a minimum of 600 most of the time for like a park rating. So if that happens, it just like makes it plummet. It's the scariest thing in the game.
Yeah.
You guys are worried about your park rating. I worry about my finances. If you make an umbrella stand and charge as much as you can for them, people will still buy it when it starts raining.
They sure will. That's
And
the
here's the
money making scheme.
Yeah, and a pro tip I found out is that if you have a scenario that has ATM machines, but it's a park entrance fee only, don't put them up, because it'll help encourage people to leave the park sooner and then get more in. Where if it's by ride, you get people to stay into the park more and spend more and more and more.
These feel like how Disney works. Just my 2 cents.
All right, well, that's all kind of bizarre how that all takes place. But if we're going to stay on the theme of bizarre, I have someone who was even more brand bizarre than regular bizarre this season. Aust, would you like to tell your story of seasons?
Yeah, I see what you did there. You made some puns.
I made a lot of them. I think I got every word in there.
Yeah. So this year I didn't play a lot of games. I did a lot of reading. But the new Story of Seasons game came out in August, and I picked it up. Wasn't expecting to. I say I wasn't expecting to spend a lot of time on it, but I love these games, and they usually end up eating a part of my soul whenever I pick one up. But I just didn't expect to make much time for this one because I'd never played the original. It's a remake of a DS game. But man, it like took over my life for like 2 months there. I must have put 110 hours into it before I finished it. And then finally I broke the cycle by just not playing one day, and I was able to resist the next day. Resist the urge to pick it up. But yeah, so it's a remake of a DS game that really wasn't all that well received by fans because there were a lot of departures from the previous games. The map was kind of small. The graphics weren't the best, even though it was a DS game. It was kind of a weird in-between area. It was still 2D, but like it wasn't stylized like the Game Boy Advance game was. It just it didn't look the best. There was also like a lot of mechanics that made it hard to really do anything because you have a freshness system. So any biodegradable good in your inventory will rot within a certain amount of time if you don't do something with it, whether like cook it or sell it or give it to someone. But they changed a lot of that for the remake. They actually did. They went against the grain for the tradition of game remakes. They took a bad game and made it good instead of retreading nostalgia and just remaking an already beloved game. And it seems to have done very well for them because everyone within like the farming game circle or the people who play Story of Seasons games it was very well received by them. They fixed a lot of the mechanical problems. Like they toned down the freshness system a lot. They increased your storage capacity so you can like put some of the goods away. They won't just decompose that quickly. They made the central mini game, which is the Bazaar, instead of like putting your crops in the shipping bin, which is the tradition for these games. You every Saturday you have like a market stall, and people come and buy your goods, and you can choose which items to put like in the front shelf. And it's like this whole huge like cycle that you can get sucked into where you find out what items are trending for a season, and you try to grow or develop those items to take advantage of that. The crafting system, I think, it's fine tuned to keep the addiction cycle going. where like you can only it's like a timer based system where you put it in the windmill, and then it's kind of like the maker system, I guess, for Pioneers Volatile, if anyone played that game, except it doesn't suck because nobody likes the maker system from that game. You can make a lot more items at once. They're not like taking up space on your farm. They're like windmills in town that you go to put the items into. And since it's a windmill system, it just based on the weather. If it's really windy, the items craft more quickly. But like I said, it's like it was fine tuned to keep you sucked or attached to the game, where you know like what items you've got making and how long it's going to take, and it's like 2:00 in the morning and you want to turn off the Steam Deck and go to sleep, but you just want to play the next day also so you can get your goods all sorted for the Bazaar on Saturday. And I realized when I was like really in the throes of the addiction of this game, we were all playing Dragon Quest Smash Grow, the mobile game, the early access for it. And part of the reason I didn't like that game so much is because I wanted to do nothing else but play Grand Bazaar. I did not want to be wasting my time on a mobile game. It's rare nowadays that a video game gets me hooked like that anymore. I don't know. I guess it's just I don't have as much time. Maybe I've played so many games that most of them don't offer anything new. But like I said, this one really pulled me in. The writing is really charming as usual. The music is great. I went back and played the DS version a little bit just to compare, and it's a huge improvement in terms of like everything. The music, they took the original soundtrack and remixed it, and it just sounds better. They expanded the map a little bit. They made the dialogue more interesting to read. It's all around. They did a really good job with this game.
Nice. I know Drippy keeps asking me about it because one of my buddies over at RP Gamer had it and loved it and never ended up getting around to review it. As a matter of fact, I kept bugging him. I was like, hey, you going to rate that review? You going to rate that review? I got somebody who was asking about it. Like he likes the people at RP Gamer's reviews. And finally, I think it was actually just 2 days ago. He like, hey, your friend Drippy, you said, tell him I gave it a 4.5 out of 5, and I'm never going to get around to writing it. So take that as you will.
Yeah, it was hard for me to put into words exactly everything about it without just giving an info dump on because it like all these games, it's such a sum of all the parts. Stardew Valley has that going for it a lot, where once you get into a groove of playing it, you've got all these different things you're juggling in the game. And it's not any one thing that's really keeping you tied in the moment to playing it. It's just it's that addiction to the balance of multitasking, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna multitask here with our next person. We've got Jay.
Hello.
Hello, Jay. What are you gonna talk about first?
I'm gonna talk about Repo first.
Okay.
I mentioned it in our steamy games, whatever we called that. It's also similar to what I nominated as my game of the year for last year, which was Lethal Company. Repo takes a lot of the foundation of that game being a sort of co-op horror treasure collector, and it looks at the foundation of that, what worked, fix up the things that needed improvement. You get 6 people in a crew instead of just 4, so that's already like more room for chaos, on top of the fact that you're collecting treasure with an element of physics to them, and if you bang them around too much, they could lose value or just completely be obliterated. There's a good variety in levels. I think they're very visually distinct. Right now we have a mansion, a wizard castle, a museum, and an abandoned weather station with a whole bunch of their own unique treasures themed to the sort of locations you find there. Like the weather station has a whole bunch of like weird tech things and like computers and weird cryogenically frozen skeletons. The thing that I find very interesting about it is we recently got a major update that pretty much doubled the roster of enemies. And the thing that I find very fun about Repo is that players are deceptively strong. A lot of times in these horror games, when you run into the enemy, your goal is just get away from them. But more often than not, especially if you're with a good-sized group, you could just bully the enemies sometimes. And it's very satisfying to kind of turn tables as like you're the threat. There is a nice amount of mod support, including some stuff that's growing, which could add new levels, new treasures. One standout thing that I've noticed so far is Princess Peach's Castle, which brings a whole bunch of like new like stage elements, shrinking platforms and stuff like that. And they've recently won Best Early Access from Golden Joystick.
Oh, nice.
Game good. Play a game with friends.
Channeling your inner Brewerian.
Friends? What are those? Who has time for friends?
Well, we've got 3 hours right now.
This is the most social interaction I'm going to have outside my family all week.
Well, glad we could provide you that.
Yeah, we're
All right,
friends
Jay,
you
that's
podcast along the way.
There you go. Get some combo skills here if two of you talked at the same game. We haven't unlocked that yet. Actually, we did. Rollercoaster Tycoon had a lot of talk. And Stardew Valley. I guess we've all done this the whole time already. All right. Well, Twinkie, you've talked with Yangus about Rollercoaster Tycoon. Why don't you talk one of your top 3 that you played last year?
Yeah, so technically, to clarify this, I started this game in late 2023, but it's one of those long games that took me about 4 months. So I didn't finish this game until 2024, but that would be Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. As the people here in the den know, I'm the biggest fake Xenoblade fan here. I played every single Xenoblade game, but I've never finished one. And last year was the first time I actually finished it. The game takes place on Titans. You have to uncover the mystery of these machines called Mechon that eat people. The combat is MMO oriented, where you have auto attacks and you have abilities that they call arts, and you use the D-pad to select the arts, and you select them when they're off cooldown. And you can get party members, and you can have a mesh with the arts to kind of form combos. And then there's also a gear system that's kind of like MMOs, where each gear kind of has like its own tier, but it's kind of randomized on the drops. So you can get the same gear to drop, but it has like an additional gem slot. So it has like, it's very MMO coded. And that's kind of one of the biggest appeals to Xenoblade for me, at least these days, considering, well, before this year, I didn't have much time for MMOs, but that's going to change later. And it kind of scratched that MMO itch I had for a long time. I ended up it was probably my most played game in a long time. I think I put a little over 200 hours, 100%ing the game. And I ended up restarting 15 hours of progress because I had that stupid perfectionist attitude that I realized I missed something 15 hours before and wasted an entire weekend's worth of work. So I restarted to a previous save. But despite me being stupid about the perfectionist attitude, I had a ton of fun with it. Easily, probably one of my favorite RPGs I played in the last 10 years.
Oh, nice. That's a series I keep thinking I might like, especially I've been playing more open world Vitalia Yumia this year, and that combat system, the Pokemon combat system that I dropped nearly 100 hours on. Like, I don't know. I keep finding the combat when I try Xenoblade 1 a little too slow.
Yeah, it's one of those things, Platty. I wonder how well you would like it too, because I'll be real with you, with how much we know you're not a fan of stuff like Final Fantasy 12. I don't know if Xenoblade's going to want to be something you want to dip your toes into.
Yeah, the combat does pick up a little, but we're talking like, I don't know, like 40 hours into it where it starts really picking up when you have more arts and stuff. And you can get better synergy.
Once you
Xenoblade
get
2
more
suffers.
once you have more of your team members, like it definitely starts Sorry, Twinkie. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. Yeah, it definitely does pick up when you get more team members and more arts. But Xenoblade 2, I would argue, is even worse with that. So probably don't play that because it takes forever for like the combat to really get going on that game too. Also, if anyone was to play the game, this advice has been repeated by the Xenoblade fandom nonstop, and I'm going to say this too. If you're a perfectionist, just don't. You will have a much better time playing this game if you just ditch the perfectionist attitude with it. There are so many missables in the game, it's mind-boggling. And it gets to the point where if you start like getting a list of the missables, there's several points in the story where you cannot look at the list without having something spoiled as well. And that's kind of like one of the biggest factors of why you shouldn't 100% the game on your first playthrough if you were to do it. Because I had a couple key spoiler points spoiled because I was reading through the non-spoiler version of the checklist, and I kind of pick up on what's happening in the story and what's the checklist is telling me, and I add it together, and it's like, oh yeah, and then it happens, and so just take everyone's advice. Don't 100% it. You'll be well better off. That's my only advice with it.
It's good advice. I mean, if the story beats are, I don't want to say predictable, but if you were able to figure them out just by a non-spoiler list.
Yeah, because like when I was reading, because I went through the list earlier, like I didn't really think of it, but after certain story scenarios, I thought about what I read on that list.
Yep.
And like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's
and
like find it at
really
so-and-so's grave. Oh crap, they're gonna die.
Yeah.
Exactly. Is this the game that Sawano was the composer for?
Was he? I don't know who composed it.
I think so. I think this is why this is on my list of games to play in the future. Because he did Xenoblade Chronicles X, and this is what the definitive version.
Sawano, you said?
Yeah, Sawano, the guy who did Attack on Titan and
I looked it up. He was
Solo Leveling.
But
someone sent me a video of his. Someone sent me a video
on my iPod here. Let me check.
Okay, yeah, someone sent me a video of a portion of this game with his music. It's like, oh, yeah, that's definitely Sawano.
I think one of the biggest highlights with Xenoblade is definitely the music. So much so that I bought the entire music collection of the trilogy a couple years ago on CD. It's that good.
Oh, dang, it's not well, I know Yoko Shimomura had a hand in the soundtrack for Xenoblade 1 as well. It's not
it was somebody
here.
Yeah, it was somebody different from the earlier games, but I think this Chronicles X was the one that Sawano got involved in.
I know Yoshinori Mitsuda, who did Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross, he did the soundtracks for 2 and 3, or at least did a chunk of them.
That's really good.
Oh, I just double checked, and I do own this game. I remember getting it on a Black Friday deal for, buy 3 for $70 or something like that.
Let's see. Yeah, it looks like the composers for Xenoblade 1 include Yoko Shimomura, Ace Plus, Manami Kiyota, and Yoshinori Mitsuda. Oh, Mitsuda did work on the first game too. Okay, well, there we go.
Cool.
All right. Well, Pendy, you broke in there to ask a musical question. Why don't we keep going with you, and you can talk your first game of the year that you enjoyed the most, or any order.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'll start with Street Fighter 6. I've had this on my list in previous years as well. I had a kind of revival of playing this even more. I put this one on my list because this past year I moved to Florida, and I'm now near one of my friends who also is into fighting games. He lives about 3 hours away, so I'll drive to his place and I'll crash there for a few days at a time every so often. Because of this, we played a lot of Street Fighter 6 over this past year because we're both into that series, which has been so much fun. I also got to play very poorly in a local tournament where I got bonked out of the first round using Ken. At that same tournament, I did appreciate that there was someone there using Terry that was also cosplaying as that same character. So that was fun to see. Now, Season 2 for the DLC characters brought in some really fun new characters with some classics. We got Terry and Mai from Fatal Fury, who I love to use in this game. Great movesets, and they blend in perfectly in this Street Fighter world. We got them along with classics like M. Bison and Alina. M. Bison had some fun tweaks to his moveset, at least as far as I knew. And he's the character that originally got me into the series as a child, as I've talked about before. Just going back and forth with Psycho Crusher, slide kicks, and throws, beating up all the older kids at the bowling alley arcade way back in the day. Currently, we're in the middle of Season 3 of the DLC characters, and so far, we've gotten Crimson Viper and my man, Sagat. Sagat is one of my favorite characters in the series, and it's great to finally get him in this game. I'm actually surprised we didn't get him until recently, but oh well. His moveset is a bit tweaked from what I'm used to seeing from before, and I really like it. Viper is a lot of fun to use as well with their tricky fire and lightning attacks. For the rest of Season 3, we still have Alex and Ingrid scheduled to release later this year. And on a side note, I'm actually really looking forward to the new Street Fighter movie. The teaser trailer they dropped during the Game Awards show really has me hyped for it. And, it can't be any worse than that Legend of Chun-Li garbage that was the last attempt at a Street Fighter movie. And it's funny, with a new Mortal Kombat movie also releasing this year, it's almost like we're back in the fighting game days of the 90s.
As long as they don't take themselves seriously with the new movie, it could be good.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, and I think the trailer shows that they're not, which is great. So
right.
I'm looking forward to it.
I actually watched the Street Fighter movie for the first time ever earlier last year. And
What'd you think?
I've played Street Fighter for years. I've been kind of out of the fighting game scene for a few years at this point, but surprisingly, I never watched the movie. And it's one of those movies that it is so terrible and bad that it is so enjoyable.
Yeah.
There's more quotes in that movie than ever, I absolutely enjoyed it.
He's perfect in that movie. I forget the name of the actor, but he's like
Julia.
10 out of 10.
Yeah. He did M. Bison perfectly.
Yeah, he was like the highlight of that movie. And for him, it was only a Tuesday.
Of course. It's the best part.
What actor was that again? What actor was that?
Raul Julia.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
if you've ever seen the Addams Family movie from the 90s, the two of those, he played Gomez Addams.
Yep. It was actually his last movie too, I think, before he passed away.
I think it was. You're right.
It was, and I've heard this story a million times on other podcasts, so I was like, wait a minute, this rings a bell. He wanted to do it because of his kids.
Yeah, his kids encouraged him to take the role.
Correct. Yep. He's like, I might as well do a movie that, they'll see, they'll like, that'll be fun for them.
Yeah, he was great in it. Like, I've not seen that whole movie, but I've seen all the parts with Bison. He's great in it because he's just so over the top, but in an enjoyable, fun way,
Yeah, that movie is pretty bad, but like he actually is like a highlight. Like I said, is a highlight of that film. He really put a lot into that role. Took it seriously.
And even Capcom referenced his performance in I want to say it was Street Fighter 5 or 6. One of Bison's possible taunts, he'll say, "For me, it was a Tuesday," or something like that. Like he actually quotes that scene word for word.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, Pendy, is that the extent of your Street Fighter-ness for this year?
I'm all done fighting, at least for now.
Oh, all right. Then we will turn the battle back over to Jen. We'll wrap around. Jen, what other games have you enjoyed this year?
Speaking of beating things up, Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii is next on my list. And I got into the Like a Dragon series solely because of Yakuza Like a Dragon and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, solely because, the main character loved Dragon Quest. It was going to be a turn-based RPG from this company that only put out beat-em-ups. I had to try it. I was on my first podcast I was on with you guys was about Yakuza Like a Dragon. And
That's
so
right.
I have a very big soft spot for that series in general. And there's one character who's kind of introduced as somebody you should know if you played the whole series, named Goro Manjima. And he just is in the background of those two games, kind of hanging out with the other, legendary Yakuza. He's crazy. You can tell he's crazy. You have to fight him in both games, I think. He's all over the screen, right? He's the kind of guy that doesn't stay still. He does all these crazy moves. And then I heard he was getting his own game. And not only was he getting his own game, but somehow they were going to make a, hardened Yakuza into a pirate. So I was already sold as soon as I heard the preference, the premise of this game. I was like, I am in. I am 100% in. is a beat 'em up, which I'm not great at, but I mean, I can mash buttons in Kingdom Hearts with the best of them, so I'm sure I'll be fine, right? And I load it up, and it's true. It was very much an easy game to play. It made me realize I probably could play all of the Yakuza games because they're tricky, but they're not. And that's kind of what I was hoping for, just in general. So he returns in this game where you kind of start off where he has amnesia. And he doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know anything about himself. And through events, he decides he wants to become a pirate captain. He somehow ends up with two sidekicks. One is a 10-year-old boy named Noah, and one is a baby tiger cub named Goro, which, yes, that's his name too, but the tiger got named it before he remembered his name, so it's fine. The best thing about this game is the fact that every single sub-story you can think of from any of the games you played in the past are probably in it. You have to fight random animals at a zoo that have escaped. You have to find girls for one of your crewmates to date. You go on an idol tour, including going on a bus and hanging out with this guy who's obsessed with idols. You help a crooked taco stand owner go straight. You help a comedy duo who was in infinite wealth kind of get back to being good friends. You take pictures of the weird exhibitionists called sickos on these little bus tours. Reminds me of Pokemon Snap. You kart racing, you do crazy delivery, you do food delivery, you do a photo rally, you do vocational school, and then you have to friend people on a Hawaii-only social media platform called Aloha Links and build a whole resort on an island called Dondoka Island. And that's completely ignoring the actual premise of the game, which is riding around on a pirate ship, having battles with other pirates, and trying to figure out what happened to your memory, what's happening in the background, why are there so many corrupt pirates around. It's kind of like, you know, the whole idea of like they're bad, but they're good bad, whereas these corrupt pirates are just bad. And then finding out about all the stuff that you were trying to do in your life before you had amnesia. So the game is long, it's fun, it's got everything that you probably loved from the previous games except for the turn-based mechanics. And I miss the turn-based mechanics, of course, but I quite enjoyed how they really tailored this game to be beginner-friendly if you hadn't actually done much of that in the past. So, you know, between my cooking mini games and all this other stuff, I'm beating the hell out of random thugs coming at me and learning how to actually do it in a way that's effective. He's got two different fighting styles because of his pirate hat makes him have another style. He's got all these crazy outfits that he's worn in previous games, plus new ones, including one where he cross-dresses as an idol. I have no idea what that's about because I haven't played that one. But I truly enjoyed it. It was absolutely fantastic. It was a wild ride, but anyone who enjoyed the other two Like a Dragon games are going to enjoy this game, even with the different controls. You're revisiting all those amazing areas that they already designed, so you know it's already solidly made, solidly built. Yeah, you're doing some of the side quests that you did as Ichiban. Is that okay? Absolutely. It's a lot of fun. I 100%ed that game. I did everything. It was great. I highly recommend it.
Now, do the guys in diapers come back for this one?
I think they do. And I think that they somehow are in... You have to chase them out of the mall, and they're in like a shopping cart or something. It's fantastic. It's tremendous.
That's great.
Maybe they were mall walking.
Yeah, some of the goofy side stories they have in this game are great.
Yeah, it literally kept me coming back for more. Just the side stories made that game fantastic. I mean, the main story was good, but it was way too serious. So just going around and, you know, cooking my meals and having, you know, pirate dinners with my crew really lightened it up when it got too confusing or heavy.
Hey, that sounds like a blast. I bought the, Yakuza Like a Dragon again. I fully intend, now that I actually have my own den and computer in here, I can actually game on the computer. It might be my first game ever on Steam that I'm not playing for like a review, but this is my year of getting serious about stuff. I want to play only games from big series that either I like or something new. I'm gonna try to take a year off of tiny little indie randomness to get like Yakuza Like a Dragon. I played the first 15 hours once or twice already and enjoyed it, but like I need to sit and do it.
I highly recommend it.
So,
I think it's a blast.
Get into the other ones.
Yeah,
Don't forget to get all the Hong Kongs.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, don't start the series like I did a couple years ago, and they release more games in that series than I can even keep up with at this point.
Oh yeah, I've got no hope of ever like going back and like, let me do Kiwami and Kiwami 0, 1, 2, and now Kiwami 3's coming out. Like, no, I'm like, I'm gonna stay in my lane.
Yep.
I got so pissed off earlier this year because I told myself, or earlier last year, I told myself, all right, I'm gonna sit through the main campaigns of like from 2 to 6 at the very least. And as soon as I get done with Kiwami 2, Kiwami 3 got announced. So I'm sitting here waiting for the remake of the third one instead of playing 3. And it's just making the list longer as time goes on. Ugh.
Like trying to keep up with the trails of series. It just gets too long.
Yeah.
I caught up. I was within 1, and now I'm 4 back again. So.
Oh.
Yep.
For my other podcast, that is part of my homework this year. What did I do? Kiseki Christmas. So we're not going to cover those games till December. So I've got 11 months to just play 2. So I'll be good. I can get there in that time. I'm working on Atelier April 1st.
There you go. Atelier April.
Atelier. We've done Atelier April on that podcast.
Atelier April. I like that.
Atelier April. 3 years in a row. I love my alliteration. We did Dragon Quest December and had Blue Star on with us this year to talk Dragon Quest Monsters and Treasures. Because I couldn't find enough staff members that had played the games. I'm like, I know someone who's played this game and made spreadsheets. Filled in everything. But all right. Not Blue Star again. We're back to Yangus. Yangus, what else did you play this year that you really liked?
Let me see. I'll go back up on my notes here. All right. So number 2 game I want to talk about, which I'm sure plenty might think this game is the number 2, is Eiyuden. It's Eiyuden, or I can never say the name of this game. Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes via the PS5 version. So this was a game headed by the late Yoshitaka Murayama. This is a game that is a spiritual successor to the Suikoden series because at the time when this game's Kickstarter came out, it's when the series had been dormant for basically forever. This is long before, like when they had the Kickstarter for it, it's long before Konami decided, we're going to do remasters of 1 and 2, and we're actually going to try and revive this series. So this was when...
Kickstarted Konami, too.
Yeah, really, it did. Like, basically, it was at the point where Murayama and his team were like, you know what? People have been asking where's Suikoden at, so we're going to try and make a new game in that same style. Anyway, Murayama, as I said, he was the man who's also the creator of the same series, Suikoden, led by him when he was back at Konami. He worked on the first 3 games in particular. Released in 2024 to various consoles, the game stars a cast of 120 heroes, who join forces to change the course of history and stop this empire, or in particular, the Mad General of the empire, from taking over the various lands and countries. There's too many characters to name, but the leads of the game are Noah, who is your main playable character, Sane, who is from the empire, who eventually joins forces with you and realizes, what all exactly is going on when he does his own looking up and kind of covert mission stuff. And Marissa, who is part of a group of people known as the Guardians, who live out in the middle of nature and help different species and people and stuff when they're in trouble. And along with them, you have characters of all sorts of kinds, like humans, tree people, animal people, different demi-humans, pretty wide and eccentric cast of characters, which if you're a fan of
sharks,
yes,
I love
that's true. You got the shark people too. Can't forget that.
Oh, those are awesome.
I love it too because they live out in the middle of the desert, and anytime somebody mentions, "Well, shouldn't you guys be near water?" they get horrified. They're like, "Water? Why would we want to be near that? That's awful."
Yes, they do. They were well. Listen, I had my problems with this game, but there was a lot of humor. There was a lot of awesome world building, and those sharks, man. They'll. I made one of them. That was back in one of the years when I was trying to make a perler bead creation for every game I played, and I definitely made one of the shark people.
Oh yeah, they're the two that you can use as party members as well. They're great, and they have a great team up attack as well. But we'll get into that in just a little bit here. So the game is classic turn-based RPG affair when it comes to your combat, town exploration, all that good stuff, with characters all having different weapon ranges, being it short, middle, or long range, which will then kind of just, that'll change up where you want to try and put them at in your party. Everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses for lenses, which are this game's equivalent to a magic system, be it being able to cast spells, heal, or just giving kind of passive abilities or stat buffs. And there are various team attacks based on your current party. Usually it's characters who have an affiliation with one another, or if they become friends, or as certain plot events go on, or you complete side quest, they'll be able to use new combo attacks. Just kind of depends on the characters. Players are able to explore dungeons. You travel around to different towns and locations to gather up new allies, engage in large army battles at different points of the story, which are kind of in like a top-down Fire Emblem-esque kind of style, but every like unit has like their own specialties, like our commanders. The commander of each unit has like their own special skills they can use. And that gets a little more expanded on as the game goes on, too. And the big draw for me personally was as you continue through the game, you work on building up your base of operations, which is definitely, in my opinion, one of the best parts of the game. It's a lot of fun to do because the nice thing is as you get new allies, not only will you get ones that act as party members, you also get ones that will help with the different facilities that you have in town. And the cool thing is that even some of the team members who run facilities in town, they can join your party as a passive character. So you'll get ones that like the blacksmith in particular. If you have him as your like travel along companion and the non-active part of the party, he can jump into battle every now and then, and he'll strengthen your allies' weapons for a few turns to give them some extra oomph for attack power. Or you have ones that'll like increase how much money you'll earn after battles, how much experience points, different stuff like that. And if there's one character who's a bit hard to find, but if you can find him and you have to run back through earlier areas, you can have him with you, and when you get into a battle, he'll just instantly defeat those enemies for you if they're like super weak compared to you. So it's a bit like how Earthbound works, where if you touch an enemy that's weaker than you, they'll just instantly get KO'd and you get the experience, all that stuff. But yeah, as you build up your town as well, you know, it'll change and grow. You'll get new places. It'll get more options for you. It'll look nicer in general. And it offers up plenty of side quests and activities to discover and play, such as the cooking game, the theater, which that's a ton of fun, mixing and matching all the different characters in the plays and just watching it play out. And because they're all voice acted too. So it's great listening to like old characters or characters who are supposed to be like serious playing like, what's one of the first plays you get? It's a take on Little Red Riding Hood. I had like one of the gruff old men play Little Red Riding Hood, and he's doing his best. Voice actor is doing their best little girl voice while still trying to be the old man voice.
Committing to the bit very much, huh?
It's hilarious. Like I honestly probably spent, like when I first unlocked that, I spent like a good hour just trying different character combos. It was just so much fun. It had me laughing so hard.
I did the same thing in Suikoden 3 this year, actually, with the theater, where I was casting all the wrong characters. It was fantastic.
It's so much fun. Yeah, there's plenty to see and do. Not only in the castle, but just in the world in general. One of my favorites in particular being the card game that you can play. Super addictive. It's a lot of fun, and as you keep playing, you'll get new cards based on different characters, so on and so forth. It's great. I personally really enjoyed this game a lot. Like this is kind of at the point where we knew where the remasters were coming, but I kind of had that itch. And this is always a game that I was interested in anyway, because it's like, I really enjoyed back in like 2018 or 2019 when Platty and I played the first two Suikoden games for our race. I really had enjoyed both games, the first one in particular. And when they had said this one was going to be coming out and like they were working on it, it's like, this could be, really cool. And eventually got a PS5. Decided I'm going to finally try and get the game and play it. It's the first thing I played on there, and I really enjoyed the game a lot. It does have some quirks that feel a little too old school for its own good, but to me personally, they were just kind of minor setbacks to the overall picture. Platy kind of talked about it before, but I really enjoyed this game's world building and its environments and stuff, and I really enjoyed a lot of the characters in the game. Marcus, the Skeleton King in particular, was one of my favorites. He's just so over the top and dramatic for how he acts compared to everybody else, and everybody else is like, "What are you talking about, dude? Like, what are you doing here? Why is there a skeleton man walking around?" Just nobody has time for him. It's hilarious. But I really liked how a lot of the plot beats kind of followed what you'd see in the earlier Suikoden games, which, again, I kind of appreciated from being a fan of the first one. But I just really liked how a lot of the characters interacted, how the story would play out, going to different towns, seeing kind of what's going on in different parts of the world, too, at different moments. And it really just remained fun to play for the entire length of the game. Few slow spots kind of towards the end, but it, just minor thing. It's a shame that Moriyama passed before the release of the game, because I thought that him and his team did a pretty good job. It's a little rough in areas, and from what I've heard, the DLC that they put out, it's really hit and miss, so probably not something I'm going to ever look into personally. But for it being, a big new project for a team, it's a pretty good time, and I really hope that these guys will go on to make follow-ups and improve on what they created, because I think there's a pretty good foundation there, and I think it'd be kind of like with Suikoden 1 to Suikoden 2, where you'll see more of the same of what made the first game good, but like how Suikoden 2 really ironed out some of the things of the first game, I think an Eiyuden Chronicle 2 game would be able to have the same effect, kind of iron out some of the oddness. But yeah, good game, light game, go play game.
I had a hard time getting into it. The first couple of hours of it really dragged for me. And then like every other character I ran into had a stupid name because they were named after Kickstarters, and it started to get frustrating for me, and I stopped. So it sounds to me like I need to pick it back up and try again, because everything you're saying makes me really, really want to play it. Yeah,
I will agree with the names on some of the NPC. Like, what is it? The one big meme of where there's that picture of the guy in the starting tavern, where it's just a dude in a polo shirt. It's like, that's pretty jarring.
Yes.
But a lot of that stuff, I just tried to be like, okay, whatever, just ignore it, whatever.
It's the money.
Thing. Yeah. But I'm sorry, Platy, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, like, I get it. You like Suikoden, Jen. I bet you'll be able to get through it. I've kind of been so-so about Suikoden. I've played a couple of them like halfway, never quite finished. And I finished this one. Then again, I got the code like the day it came out. Somebody on RP Gamer gave it to me and then of course I lived with that. He got I guess he backed it as a Switch person, and then heard day one how bad the Switch version was.
Oh yeah.
So immediately bought it for PlayStation 5, and in the staff channel he's like, I don't know if any staff members want to try this on Switch. I've got a code, just message me. And I was like, oh, I'll take it, because Suikoden's never really hit with me, and I don't have a game I'm playing right now, so why not? I'll give this a go. So, yeah, I had half a dozen crashes. I find, Yangus, you're talking about going around your dungeon or your castle and doing stuff and having so much fun there. Yep, that was always a risky proposition for me, because I think the only crashes I ever had were using fast travel while going between different sections of my castle. That was it. Every time it crashed, it was because of that. I feel like a lot of these things probably got fixed. I know I was laughing at the cooking thing because I was like breezing through it. I'm like, man, this is great. I love this cooking thing. I can't do any wrong. Then I found out that was glitched on the Switch, and no matter what you did, you could be making you could make like frickin' ice cream sundaes with cucumber in it and give it as when they're looking for breakfast items. And I was passing everything. I'm like, how am I winning this? This should not work, and it's working great. Like,
that's great.
So yeah, the cooking game, I blew that sucker right out of the water. No problems.
You found all the secret combos that just work. That's all.
Everyone. Yep. They shouldn't have worked. They all did.
That's hilarious.
But I mean, like I said, I think a lot of my frustration was the crashing, which, obviously very time sensitive 2 years ago on Switch. So I'm sure a lot of that's better. It never was a big deal like that on the PC or PS5. So a couple little gameplay things, but that was me. It was an okay game, and for me to say it was okay, it's probably amazing for everybody else. Suikoden fans, my okay is like your 9 out of 10 out of 10, something.
Is there a special ending if you have all 120 heroes or whatever?
So there actually is a little bit that changes with the end of the game. So
Nice. Good.
I won't say what, but
No.
you do get to a point where it's like, well, this is weird. I feel like I should have everybody. Well, then the 120th character will show up for a particular moment, and that's when you'll then get that character. You have to have everybody else before that moment, but when it happens, you'll know. Otherwise, I would say save like the devil beforehand, so you don't have to worry about that.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I definitely had a save in Suikoden where I didn't where somebody died in a war battle that I thought was storyline dead but was not, and did not get all my stars of destiny. So yeah, definitely learned the hard way back in the day.
Yeah, it's a heartbreaking moment. It's a heartbreaking moment. It's terrible.
Ouch. Another ouch we got going on here is Ouch Nerevar. He did not play another game that he liked at all this year. They all sucked. So
all the games.
All the games. They all sucked. Story of Seasons, Grand Bazaar, play that. Don't play anything else Aust played this year.
The only thing worth playing. I really just did not game a lot this year. It was unusual. I had a lot going on and did a lot of reading, so.
Hey, it happens. I tell you what, I have gotten down, I think it was a New Year's resolution a couple years ago to game less. And not game less, but I'm going to play these big games, relax. I don't need to do everything. I don't need to whatever. But I also was getting up to, I think when my second kid was born, I was playing, 10 games a year, completing 10 games a year. And about 3 years ago, I did 24, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta slow down. There's other stuff I want to do. I want to read. I did 68 books this year, so
nice.
Slowing down and doing other stuff. I think I did 13 or 14 games, so I get it.
You read too many. You could have read 6-7 books this year.
You know what? I knew that's where I was, and in the last 2 days of the year, I was like, I'm gonna binge this damn book, because in the year of 6-7, I think I will go to not do 6-7.
You appreciate your sacrifice.
Yep. I was like, I'm gonna make sure.
There is another game listed under Aust's thing. Maybe you need to tell us about that, Aust.
I'm not looking at the show notes.
You better pull them up here real quick.
Yangus wants you to explain.
Okay.
Wants you to explain it all again, but backwards.
I wish I'd actually written those notes down, and I would just start reading them backwards.
Just reverse what happens in the game. So instead of starting out with a new farm, it's you have a great farm, but you start to lose it.
Well, the very last thing I did in the game was the child was born. I'm not sure I want to explain that backwards.
Okay.
Moving on.
That would be Jay. Jay, take us on a train ride and get us away from this awkward conversation.
Platty, just real quick, just take Aust's dialogue from him talking, reverse it, and speed it up so it gets through it in 5 seconds. When he was talking about the game.
All you monsters belong on this train.
Indeed we do.
My second game is Monster Train 2. It's another one I talked about during my Steam playlist, because these are really the only games I play. I also didn't play that many different games this year. Monster Train 2 is a roguelike deck builder with tower defense elements. You have these monsters boarding your train, trying to get to its engine to bust it up, stop them. That's really the simplest way of explaining it. And there is just something it has a very strong sense of one more run, where it's something went wrong early on, let me just do one more run, or I was really close that time, let me just do one more run. It's a game that really got its hooks into me. I don't really want to repeat myself too much from what I said in the Steam episode, but I recently managed to get all the achievements, which is basically 100% completion. And some of them are very difficult, like doing challenges with like preset decks or trying to beat max difficulty runs with every group and trying to find, because like you have your primary group and then a supporting group, and there's 10 classes that you could mix and match between, and eventually you got to win a run with them all. And it's very fun trying to be like, oh, this primary group excels with magic, so let's take a look at what other classes would work well with that. Or it's like, this group wants to keep reviving its allies as it falls, so let's load up my deck with a bunch of weak little guys, because every time you revive them, they get a little stronger and a little stronger and a little stronger. So you're kind of just doing this cycle of kind of putting up like little sacrifice, exploding candles, and then just reviving them over and over again. Game good. Try game. There's a demo. Try game.
Yeah, I'll say I put like 45 hours into the first game this year. That I am not a roguelike person usually, but deck building part of it, like I really do like roguelike deck builders, and it had a good flow. And seeing 2 come out, I was like, okay, I gotta not do that this year.
Yeah, and it's like
if you get down that hole again.
If you get lucky, you can just make some stupid combinations.
Oh yeah, there were times like I was like, oh, I know I'm gonna win this whole run by like the end of the 3rd or the 4th, you know. But
I managed to get this one guy set up. There's this random dude you can sometimes, like a hitchhiker, you can sometimes pick up, Dante the Defendable, and it's like when you summon him, he'll put a curse in your deck, but he'll get an extra attack for every curse that's in your deck when you summon him. And it's like, I got him early enough to the point where between all the curses that were getting forced on me just from like the challenge, that he was getting like 30 attacks. So it's like, those are kind of insane, honestly. I was beating bosses like before they were even able to finish their whole routine.
Oh wow. So that much better than the first game?
Yeah.
Or just more of the
so
same?
Much better.
Yes. Oh wow.
It's everything from the first game and then more.
I just put it on my wish list.
Game good. There is an update, like a smaller like DLC update. I think it's paid, coming soon, but we don't know exactly when.
Yeah, one of the DLC like races, the groups, as you were saying earlier, from the first game was one of my favorites. I would use them either as a primary or secondary almost all the time. So
there's a lot of variety in this game. Like all the races feel very unique.
That's cool. And you said there's 10 of them?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's more. I think there were only 5, 7 in the first one.
I think we got another 1 or 2 coming in the future, but we don't know any details about that yet.
All right.
Choo-choo.
All right. Well, nice. Maybe from the ground to the air, we're going to go with Twinkie, and one of your games that I've spent all of 1 hour playing and did have a fun hour with it, but that was it.
Yep, that would be Kirby Air Riders. Despite the Switch 2 being a pretty big thing for my game catalog this year, Kirby Air Riders is like the only game that I can really say is one of my top games of the year. It's kind of like Mario Kart, but better. I'll say it. But basically, the concept of the game is that you have all these Kirby characters, and each one has their own little special attack when you fill up a meter, and each one is unique. Even the different color Kirbys have their own special attacks. And the vehicles are not just stat changes, but they completely change the way that you play the game. For example, there's one called Slick Star, I think it's called, where if you push and hold the B button to kind of like go around corners, it'll keep going until you push in that direction. And, I guess I should mention that, but the one big gimmick on this game, I wouldn't really say it's a gimmick, but one of the big things with this game that kind of sets it apart from other racers is that you auto accelerate. So you don't have to really do much except for steering. And the skill of the game mostly comes down to how you handle corners with the special mechanics of your star that you're riding. So, for example, there's the Wagon Star, which is, I kind of consider it to be the more noob-friendly vehicle, where it doesn't have like a charge boost when you're taking corners, but it makes up for that by having like a pretty high-end top speed. there's like other ones, like there's the Warp Star, or not the Warp Star. I can't remember what it's called, but it's one that kind of allows you to like teleport that you can pick up. And I think the one thing about Kirby Air Riders that I absolutely love over Mario Kart, I know I'm making some comparisons to Mario Kart, but they're kind of different games. But the one thing I really like about Air Riders is that when you hit an opponent with an ability, rather it's one that you suck up or your special attack, when you hit the opponent ahead of you, it doesn't stop them completely. It slows them down, but they quickly reaccelerate. But at the same time, you gain a speed boost. So unlike Mario Kart, where you get hit by a blue shell last second and get super ticked off about it, the game has a balance with the attacks where you're getting punished for being attacked, but the other player is getting a benefit towards it. So you get back into the race without feeling like there's very little downtime. And combine that with the fact and how fast this game can get, it's just crazy fun. And then there's a multiplayer focus mode called City Trials, where random events will happen on this one map, and you complete these events to get ability points. And if anyone's played Smash Run on Smash Bros. On 3DS, it's pretty much the same exact concept, where you go around, you complete objectives, and you also open up boxes to gain stats. And at the end of it, you kind of vote for which objective you kind of want to do, and then you fight people who pick that one as well. And if you're the only one that picked it, you win automatically. So there's kind of like a little strategy element with picking that. But it ends up getting super chaotic towards the end, because depending on the star and your stats, you can literally move across the map within like 2 seconds. It is that fast. You cannot control anything. And hilarity ensues. It's one of those so stupid but fun games that really kind of took me for a surprise this year.
Nice. Yeah, we got it for Christmas, and I've only put it in once, but the whole family decided we're going in blind. We don't know how to play this. We're not even going to read the tutorials or anything. Just like put it in, 4-player, let's go. Right now. So we did have fun. Like I said, we played for about an hour and a half, and we will definitely do that again, because we do like our Mario Karts and racers if there's 4 of us that want to do something. Glad we got it. That was like a last-minute Christmas gift. I think my dad called on the 23rd. He's like, I'm at Best Buy. Do the kids need any Switch 2 games? You have this Switch 2, right? And I was like, sure, like, what do they got? I don't know. I can tell you a couple games. And he just starts reading, and it was like a 5-minute. I just put the phone down and kind of walked away for a bit. Because I told him, I was like, oh, they have Kirby Air Riders? That's kind of the only thing I could think of that we don't have that we might all play. And he's like, I don't think so. Let me read you the games they have. And in a typical, adult parent who has no clue what they're doing, just proceeded to read every game on every shelf. I was like, oh gosh. I called my son over. I'm like, just listen to Pop, and if you hear something, yell out to him. And he like rolled his eyes at me. He's like, I don't really want anything else right now. It's like, we'll tell him Kirby and see what happens.
Yeah, Kirby Air Riders was the one game I almost skipped out on too, because when it came out, I played the demo and I thought it was pretty good, but I was kind of it's kind of like, should I really spend the money for it? And then on my birthday, I ended up saying, I'll just buy it anyways, and didn't regret it. It was kind of the one surprise hit I had this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, nice. All right. I think Pendy's got a game that we never thought we'd see coming and never figured would be on his list and never thought would be a hit. So why don't you do that one, Pendy?
Me? A Dragon Quest game on my list? This never happens.
Never. Slime time history right here.
So my next game is going to be Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake. I won't go too much.
I've heard of that game.
Right? It might have, flown into some of our radars, during this year for some reason. I don't know why. But I won't go too much into this one, as we'll eventually have a spoiler-filled final thoughts episode on the game. But wow, these games have really impressed me. They took some really great extra steps to improve gameplay mechanics and flesh out the story and the characters for both 1 and 2. What they did with 3 the previous year was great, but there was so much more potential with 1 and 2, and they took full advantage of it. With 1, not everyone was a big fan of how you now have to fight multiple enemies all the time, but I really enjoyed the challenge and the strategy it brought to the game that previous remakes, not the original, but the remakes were lacking, I thought. Now, the souped up skills for both games have been a great addition and can become a lot more important when you take on the Draconian mode. So I really enjoyed that additional gameplay mechanic to both games. The depths to the characters and story for both games were tremendous, especially in Dragon Quest II. There were actually moments in both games that teared me up, something I never would have expected from these games having grown up on their NES versions. Of all the DQ remakes, Dragon Quest II by far now wins my vote for most improved remake as compared to their original incarnation. So that's all I'm going to say for now on this game.
No, you're 100% on that one.
Yeah, I know you felt very similar to me when it came to how much they improved too. It was great.
When I reviewed those games, I would have. I even thought about reviewing them separately because I had wildly different experiences. I think, kind of like what you said, I wasn't a big fan of the difficulty and all those enemies in the first. It was a good remake, cool, whatever, that's fine. Added a lot of neat things, but yeah, second blew me out of the water. Like I think I gave this a 4.5 or maybe a 4 out of 5, but like it was definitely like in the year of 6-7, I would have given one a 6-7, 2 perfect 10 out of 10, like 5 out of 5, whatever. That it was amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about the post game and all of that once we get to our.
Yeah, we'll need to definitely.
Oh yeah,
It's a really good set of remakes. I'm glad that they finally came out.
Agree with that.
After seeing
It's
it
a
in the
tough act to
anniversary
follow
special
now.
all those years ago, where he got whistled mentioning one.
I was gonna say we're like the 4.5 years since the whistle.
Yep.
I still have not played the second one.
No. Oh.
No.
I still haven't
You have
played either
something
one
good to
yet.
look forward to.
Yeah, you'll
Probably won't have time to get to it before 7 either. So.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
It's not going anywhere.
Soon.
You've got it. You'll get there.
We believe in you.
Just like there's hundreds of games out there for you to play, Aust. There are hundreds of people in Jen's next game that she needed to go and find. Jen, did you find them all?
I did, of course. Suikoden 1 and 2. What's the official name? The HD Remaster Gate Rune and Dunan Unification Wars. That's what it's called.
There you go.
Yeah, so I actually was gonna mention Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D, but I felt like just doing that back to back would be a disservice to the fact that there was another 1 and 2 that came out this year that was fantastic. So I switched up real quick, especially hearing Yangus talk about Eiyuden Chronicles and all the mechanics. It just made me want to talk about all the mechanics in Suikoden 1 and 2 because those games were they weren't formative for me. Obviously, like Dragon Quest was a formative series for me. Final Fantasy was a formative series for me. But I think when I started playing video games, kind of my own video games, not games that I watched my brother play, not series I watched my brothers play, I kind of immediately was attracted to the Suikoden series. And I started with 3 back in the day and then played 1 and 2. And so getting this remaster last year, when that came out, I had been waiting for it forever, obviously. As soon as they announced it, I am a huge fan of Suikoden, and I just couldn't be happier with having a way to play the games again. They made sure to keep a lot of the things that made it special, while making some serious quality of life enhancements in the games. Things just seem to work better in the games. So, you start off in Suikoden 1 as this child of a famous general, and through fate and happenstance, you end up with a true rune attached to your hand. And what that means is pretty much the ultimate power of that rune. It's called the Soul Eater. Sounds super safe and not dangerous at all. Is now part of you, and you really can't get rid of it. Runes are kind of like rune lenses in Eiyuden Chronicle, where they're the magic of the game, and so you can have one on each hand and one on your head, depending on the game. And there's other runes that'll also like augment your abilities. Some are stuck on people, some are not. So again, 108 characters that you're shooting for in the games. And again, as Yangus said, some of them are actual playable characters, some of them stay at your base and do things to help you out, open an item shop, open, all kinds of different places. I actually wanted to ask, are there baths in Eiyuden Chronicles? Because I love the baths in the Suikoden series.
Yes, and it's run by a funny little NPC who is a capybara and his son who sits on top of his head.
That is fantastic, and now I am sold. I will have to get that far in that game because I love capybaras. So thank you for selling me on the game. And so a lot of the features that we knew and loved in different Suikoden games made it to a Eiyuden Chronicle, but Suikoden 1 and 2 kind of did a lot of that stuff first. So you have these 6-party teams, which to me, was crazy huge. And on top of that, you get some link attacks with different people. The storyline is absolutely tremendous. I think the one thing, especially in Suikoden 1, that was hard for me is that you have to be like a saint in order to get all the characters in that game because you have to forgive everyone. If anybody does anything wrong, you have to be like, yeah, no big. I know you tried to kill me. I know you killed somebody that was really important to me, but join the team. It's all good. And when I was younger and I played it, that was really a difficult premise. But as I got older and with the new translation, I kind of understood that, they were manipulated into doing these awful things. But still, you have to be a saint. Suikoden 2 is really where everything shines for me because I love that story so much. And I love the enhancements to that game so much. And they are still glaring, even in the new HD 2D remake and with all of the things they did to make it easier. Those enhancements to 2 are so needed and so helpful. Inventory management is the one thing they really didn't get right in 1. And in 2, they started on a correct path. I would say that it really never got perfect in the series from all the games I played. But I will say that in 2, you at least could kind of find stuff and it wasn't as ridiculous. In 2, there's a lot more options for those side quests and stories in your own castle. You kind of get the main character. So 1 and 2 are direct sequels that happen within a couple years of each other. And because of that, a lot of your favorite characters from 1 show up in 2. So you get to see a lot of them and how they've grown. So like my favorite characters, Victor and Filk, are in both games. They are fantastic. They are ridiculous. They're so great. But then you get a lot of new characters too. When you look at that game, it's a lot about balance. And the whole story of the runes that you get there, you get this rune called the Bright Shield, but it's only half of a true rune. And your bestie gets the dark sword, or I can't remember if it's dark sword, but it's the black sword, dark sword, whatever it is. He gets that one, and those runes are cursed to fight each other. And you don't really know the whole story of what that means, but eventually you do. Eventually you find out what that means, and you have to figure out how to solve that issue, on top of the fact that there's this whole war going on that you're kind of getting dragged into. So overall, these games have this really deep story. They have this really delightful batch of characters. Yes, there's too many characters. Obviously, there's too many playable characters and you're never going to use them all. But it gives you a lot of customization and it gives you a lot of ability to have fun with it. So in 2, I believe there are these, I think there's these monsters in both 1 and 2 that are little squirrels with capes. In 2, you can actually recruit them to your team, and you can have a whole team of super squirrels. And then they have an attack where they pretty much all fly at the enemy and fly it away, and you defeat the enemy because they flew it away. And those sorts of things are just very delightful in a game with such a heavy storyline like Suikoden 1 and 2 have. So they add some lightness and levity. And a lot of the things that Yangus really loved about Eiyuden Chronicles started in these games. And they actually inspired me to replay 3. And then I started playing 4, but then Pirate Yakuza came out and I stopped because it's really, really, really dry. So I plan to get back into that this year. And then 5. So that's my plan, is to continue with the series, but I have to say, it's just a beloved series, and for good reason. The storylines and the twists and the turns and the drama and the satisfaction of getting all of the stars are just, I can't even like understate it. It's just, I can't overstate it rather. It's just amazing, and I really do enjoy those two games and what followed.
Yeah, 2 has one of my favorite storylines of all time in a video game, or just straight out, in general. And I haven't played these remakes yet, but I am looking forward to it. It's on my list. I'm glad to see that you enjoyed them, because I had a lot of hype for these two to play these again as a remake or remaster or whatever it's considered to be.
It really held true, and I think the new translation is really good. I know a lot of people aren't happy with the Star Dragon Swords name being changed, but like overall, it's more understandable in general. The characters are just a little bit more robust, and their motives are actually a touch clearer because of the better translation, in my opinion. So I still recommend the enhancements. It's not as stiff as it was in the original translation.
Yeah. Really, the only thing with the translation, the new one that I'm sad about, is they got rid of one of Victor's funniest lines where he's like, "Black rune, pink balloon, doesn't matter."
Oh my god! I forgot about that.
That one I'm sad they took out, because that totally fit his character.
It's kind of like where they left Kefka's, run, or you'll be well done, even though it's not accurate. It's fine, They kept it,
It's just, and that's one of the things where I think there's a mod specifically just to put that line back in. You play it on
it's like you Spoony Bard made it through all the translations, even though it's dead wrong. So why couldn't they have kept that here? Come on now, guys.
Yeah. I really thought about putting this one on my list to talk about, because I really enjoyed the remasters, playing them earlier this year too. But Jen, you basically covered everything that I liked about Suikoden 1 and 2, so there we go.
Awesome.
Great games. Well worth playing.
All right. Well, I guess you've risen out of the muted crew here to talk a little bit of Suikoden. Why don't you go into your third game now?
Yes, I've been fighting off dragons.
Yeah.
Dealing with a dog. Had to help my ma earlier. But hey, that leads me on to my game, my third one, Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen. So this was a game that the original version, just plain old Dragon's Dogma, came out on the PS3 and Xbox 360. But this version, the Dark Arisen one, is like a remaster / updated release that came out on PS4 and Xbox One in 2017 and the Switch in 2019. I'm going to mainly be talking about playing it via the PS5 version, but quick little side note here. The game actually runs and plays pretty well on Switch too. A little more pop-in on that one and just a little bit longer loading times, but playing it from the PS5 and then just kind of, just for context, I had bought both the PS4 version digitally for like $5 at one point, and then the Switch one was $5 at some point. So I'm like, well, hey, I might as well get it for $5 too, because I liked it on PS4 / PS5 so much. So anyway. This is a game developed by Capcom, and the game has you take the role of a character called the Arisen, who is a chosen human by the world's big bad dragon, who must gather, your character, the Arisen, must gather strength and allies in order to slay said dragon. There's a lot of crazy story stuff as to why, but basically all you need to worry about is that you were picked by the dragon after he said some mumbo jumbo talk, stole your heart right out of your chest, and you got this big old nasty scar there, and you got to go try and stop him. But from there you just kind of figure out what the goal is, what's going around, blah blah, all that good stuff. It's pretty open ended with how this game works. So there are the overarching goals and story beats that pretty much every player is going to follow. But along with that, there's a ton of side missions and open exploration you can partake in. It's definitely a game, too, where depending on what actions you might do with one character, you might not be able to do quests with another. If you start siding with one faction over the other, you're not going to be able to go with this one, so on and so forth. I also have found that if you accidentally hit an NPC with your sword or shield or something, they're not going to forget that, and you can accidentally kill important characters. Found out about that one, thankfully, before I got too far in the game, because after I accidentally hit somebody with a sword, it's like, I quickly tried to revert my saves. But, so there's a lot you can do in this game. It's pretty pretty open with what you can do. There's like you have your main goals, but you're not necessarily, the game's not like, well, nothing's gonna happen until you go do it. You can go do all this other stuff if you want to, and lots of other little story beats will happen too. So large chunk of my playtime for it was just kind of seeing what all there was out there in the world to look at, and the overworld exploring, kind of slowly working on the different side quests, a lot of gathering, hunting, maybe escorting somebody to a certain spot. Thankfully, a lot of these quests that you do, if you meet the goals for it, they'll auto-complete, so you don't have to like run back to like report in or do something. Some of them you have to, but that's mainly just because it involves like a particular NPC, which those are pretty easy too. They'll meet you at a certain spot, or the game will tell you like, hey, just go back there when you can. And thankfully, too, with this Dark Arisen version of the game, they added fast travel points that you can go to. You have to unlock them and find these like warp crystal things you can set around different spots. But the nice thing is that if there's a certain place you need to get back to, you can use those crystals. You can set them there in a spot. You can then warp to them whenever you want to, or you can go back to the central town. Thankfully, a lot of the side quests too, that at least the point of the game that I got to, a lot of them you can just go back to town real quick. You go to a bulletin board, or you head to this main square of town, and then hey, there you go, you're ported in. Just kind of depends on what you're doing. But along with all that, though, there's a ton of different job classes that you can master for your characters, or that you can set your pawns to. I should explain that real quick. As the Arisen, you have your main pawn, who is basically just like kind of like a golem-esque character that comes along, but they'll talk and they'll chat with you, and you kind of like your best buddy on the road. And then you can also call in other pawns to help you, which you can summon from other players, or if you have friends on like your PlayStation friend list or Switch friend list that have played the game, you can summon theirs too. And depending on how people have progressed their pawns or something, they'll get stronger and so on and so forth. Send off prizes with them, or send off items, rate them to the players who originally created them. But let's see. This is a game that definitely is not going to be something that like kind of holds your hand. It'll have little tutorials and explain stuff, but there's some nasty difficulty spikes throughout it. But that's admittedly kind of part of the charm I felt of the game. It taking down some of the large monsters that you can come across, like these minor dragons or like the griffin that can fly in from out of nowhere. It's so satisfying to hunt them down and take them on with your team of characters. And it's just like another Capcom series Monster Hunter, where you start fighting them, you figure out what to do, and when you finally do take one of these creatures down, and the triumphant music plays, it's so cool. I'll never forget when I first went out of the castle town, when I finally reached it with my team of characters, and I suddenly hear one of the guards yell out, "Hey, it's a griffin!" And I'm like, well, what griffin? What are you talking about? And its thing just descends down from the sky, snatched up one of my pawn characters, and just dropped him and wiped out like all their health. It was this craziest thing. I loved it. But were you gonna say something, Twinkie? Or?
Yeah, I was going to say I hate that griffin with a burning passion.
It's great too, because even after you kill it, you wait a few in-game days and that thing comes right back.
Yep.
This is a game that I was really hooked on back in the spring, just because of life stuff that was going on. And while I still have a lot to do in the game, it's been a great ride throughout the whole thing. Game's got a lot of charm. It's like I said, it's got difficulty, but there's a lot of really cool moments in it too, like some really cool set pieces, nice cut scenes to kind of showcase different elements of the game. You can have there is like a relationship system of sorts, where just like it's mainly like if you just talk to certain NPCs. They'll be more friendly towards you, or they'll be like, oh, thank you, Arisen. They kind of change how they talk to you. Nothing, I don't know if there's like actual romance kind of stuff, but there's like one NPC in particular who's like this traveling shopkeeper lady that I kept helping her and talking to her, and then like more side quests kind of started popping up for her. So it's worth talking to NPCs and interacting with all the characters. Everybody has their own kind of lives going on too. So it's got a really nice medieval setting. Lots of nutso magic shenanigans going on. One moment in particular when you have to go down into the depths of I forget the name of the area, but it's like right below where like a lot of the pawns in this world like gather in order to join other adventurers or other Arisen. Because you're not the only one who's going around in the world here. It's a bit like Dark Souls almost, where like all of these other worlds that are the same, like we're all like basically every player their own world and their own game. They're kind of like melding together of sorts. That's why you can be able to summon these other pawns from other worlds, or sometimes you'll hear about these other Arisen, so on and so forth. But definitely a game that I really got into a lot. I'm really looking forward to playing the sequel at some point, because I've heard that game really takes a lot of the mechanics of the first game, but really revamps them and makes things a little smoother. It goes for more of the British medieval fantasy kind of style, because I guess now instead of having a lot of the Los Angeles based voice actors they had for the first game, it's kind of like Dragon Quest, where like your whole voice cast is now British instead. But I'm really looking forward to it. I have had a ton of fun with the first game, and it's a game that if you've ever seen it on sale for like $5 or something on like the eShop or the PlayStation Network, it's worth checking out, because it's well worth that price. For $5, even if you just mess around with it for a little bit with the goofy character creator stuff and make your giant hulking man, like I did, have a very high pitched voice where he's going as he's swinging his weapon around. But yeah, it's a fun time. Definitely a game where it's either going to click with you or it might not. But hey, for $5, if you can get it for that price, give it a try.
Well, speaking of a game that you might be able to pick up for $5 pretty much any time. Although I guess it's early access. I don't know if they do sales for that. But Jay, what's your third game for the...
Actually, before we get into that, since all of you guys are talking about your 2 remakes, I would also like to talk about a 2 remake.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which that being Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac, which came out, September-ish? Pac-Man World 2, back on like the GameCube, was one of my favorite games growing up. And it was very difficult to 100%, and I finally did it whilst having a sleepover at my cousin's house, and it got jammed in their Wii.
Oh!
Oops.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no. So when they announced that they were remaking it, I was very happy. The remake is absolutely fantastic. It shakes up the level design in pretty drastic ways sometimes, and just overall addresses almost all of the problems that I had with the original version. 100% completion is still nearly impossible, but now it's just because they added so much stuff, and some of the later things get really hard, which was a pleasant surprise. They kept most of the unlockable arcade cabinets you could get from the original game, but unfortunately, Miss Pac-Man was removed with no replacement. But we did get a Sonic collab with some interesting levels and a new boss fight with Dr. Eggman. Game good. Probably like one of the best remakes I've ever played. Unk still got it.
Nice.
And
I was going to say, yeah, you had that listed as your honorable mention, so you mentioned that's good. But also your other game, what do you want to talk about?
Yes, Tiny Rogues. I forget if I talked about this one at some point. I feel like I have. It's another roguelike. This one's more of a bullet hell, which I wasn't expecting to like as much as I did. As it's got like that sort of meta progression where it's like every time you do a run, you get experience towards unlocking classes and stuff. And then you can unlock even more, but it's like beat this boss as Barbarian to unlock Dragoon or whatever. And it's like there's a big emphasis on replayability because you're just constantly unlocking stuff. There's a decent bit of randomness to the kinds of enemies that you fight, the kinds of weapons that you get. Obviously, you got stuff like swords and guns. It's like a 2D little pixel game. You got like swords and guns and bows and magic scrolls and musical instruments that make funny noises. I'm particularly fond of the trumpet. There's a lot of stuff to like really dig into just because of the sheer amount of classes. And there is a major update coming soon that's gonna get it out of early access and effectively make it a whole new game, which I'm very excited for. Details are going slow on that, but they're coming. Game good, play game.
I'm gonna say there's a lot of games that kind of live in that realm.
Yeah.
Of, early access for years, and then some launched to be great. So Hades was that way for like a year, if I remember. And what's the one that Pokemon's suing the?
Power World.
Yeah, that was in like all the discussion about it and everything. It was when it was in early access.
Did they make Power World good? Because I kind of remember it being kind of just like just grind with no major point.
I have no idea. I mean, I had friends that enjoyed it and played it up until like they just ran out of stuff to do. They were like, "Oh, we're out."
Yeah, that's
Wow,
what I
actually,
did.
Our World is still early access.
Yeah.
I think Project Zomboid has that beat though. That game came out in late 2013 and it's still in early access.
So, you can keep hoping, but they might just keep adding stuff forever and never call it a 1.0.
I mean, that's fine too.
Yep.
Game good. Play
Alrighty.
game.
Excellent. Well, talk about a game that's not in early access or at 1.0. Twinkie, what's your third game that you sunk a lot of time into this year?
Whoa, boy. So as I mentioned earlier, Xenoblade Chronicles kind of felt like scratched the MMO itch I had for a while without playing MMOs. Unfortunately, I relapsed and I started playing old school RuneScape.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I
You
started.
were playing RuneScape? I never would have guessed.
It was kind of hard to make a list of my top games this year because I played that much RuneScape. I didn't even play Dragon Quest 1 and 2 yet because I've been playing RuneScape. So for those who don't, if you're one of those people that don't know what RuneScape is, it's an MMO, no surprise, where every action you do has almost every action you do has a skill attached to it. So you have your combat skills like melee, magic, and ranged. And then you have your non-combat skills like farming, wood cutting, fishing. Every action has a level attached to it. And the beauty of the game is that it's just a mindless grind. It doesn't matter if you're getting those big boss loot drops, if you're trying to get your stats up to get a quest done, or if you're just trying to get a max level in a stat. There's just too much. I ended up I went into the game with the expectation of getting every single quest done in RuneScape. As of right now, I started in July, and I only had 40 quests done. And as of right now, I am 12 away, which I think there's 237 quests, I think, in the game. And these quests are not small. Some of them take literally 8 to 9 hours. They're basically their own little contained stories. And I ended up joining a PVM guild. They've been teaching me how to do bossing. I've been doing a bunch of skilling. And then when I'm doing my mindless skilling, I just watch stuff on my second monitor. Been catching up on TV shows because of it. And in the past couple weeks, as one of Yangus's games of the year is Rollercoaster Tycoon on Switch. I actually had that popped up on my desk while I'm sitting there cutting trees, and I love the game. Don't get me wrong, but it's the game I loved. I would not recommend to anyone. It takes up your time and it doesn't respect it whatsoever. But if you got time and you hate it, it's a good game to pick up.
If this is preventing you from playing Dragon Quest games, this sounds like a horrible addiction. Maybe we need to do an intervention.
Let's stage an intervention.
Yeah, right now.
We care about you.
Yes.
Hey,
we love
We're
you.
not
Thank
judging.
I plan on stopping. I plan on stopping when I get all the quests done, at least for a little bit, just before.
I can stop at any time.
That's what they all say.
We all say. You can quit anytime.
True.
Oh, boy. I got no transition away from that one, so I'm just going to say, hey, Pendy, what's your last main game here?
So my next one is SD Gundam G Generation Eternal. It's quite the mouthful. So this was a game, yes. This was a game that wasn't on my radar at first. It's a mobile gacha game, and it first released on 16 April 2025. I happened to hear about it a couple of months later, and after trying it, whoo boy, was I hooked. Maybe I need an intervention for this game, actually. It's based off the SD Gundam G Generation series that has been around since at least the PlayStation 1 days. Like the Super Robot Wars series that I'm also into, it's a turn-based tactical RPG published by Bandai Namco, or Banco. So both series do have similarities, but these games are typically made by different development teams under the Bamco umbrella. This series is all about reliving all the various Gundam stories going back to the original anime series in 1979 and developing suits from those series. Unlike Super Robot Wars, where different people join you based on the story, where you level up mechs as you go along, these Gundam games have development paths of using resources to start off with the weakest mechs and then develop those into stronger mechs as you go along. This gacha game has a similar type of development path, but of course, Being a gacha game, the very best units are pulled through the gacha component. You can also recruit pilots and big support ships that can increase in level, and the support ships will increase everyone's stats in battle and also have the ability to heal your units or replenish their energy needed for attacks. This game has basic main stages for all various Gundam storylines available at the moment, as there will be more as this goes along. Upgrade stages, Eternal Road challenge stages, various event stages that will come along, and Master League, where you are pitted against AI-controlled teams from other people that play the game in a tournament for very good rewards. This game is very generous from what I'm used to. They are throwing the gacha currency called diamonds here at us all the time. Since I've joined, they've regularly given us 3,000 diamonds here and there, and that's the equivalent to a gacha 10-unit pull, which is good. I don't think I ever saw that with the DQ gacha games I played in the past, like Tax, Stars, and Superlight. And if they did, it was very rare. I can easily get through 95% of all the content with what I've put together myself without spending money on diamonds whatsoever. It's only recently that I've started using the monthly pass for some extra bonuses at about $4 a month. The special events have been fun because they've done some original stories, fan favorite classics, and some oddball entries, such as diving into SD Gundam Gaiden, based off a trading card game that eventually got adapted into a manga and an anime, where the Gundams and the mechs are sentient beings fighting in a land of medieval magic and knights. A very odd entry for a sci-fi series, a series that's usually sci-fi. I love the turn-based RPG gameplay and building my favorite mechs. There's nothing more satisfying than taking my favorite Gundam in the series, the GPO-2A Gundam, and just nuking 6 to 10 enemies at a time, as he does with his huge special map attack. I actually got to meet the English voice actor Kirk Thornton, who plays the pilot Annabelle Gatto for that unit at a con very recently. Cool guy. But anyway, this game has kept me entertained every day since I started it back in June. A lot of fun.
Can you play as from any of the spin-off, like non-UC Gundams too?
Yeah, so there's like G Gundam, Gundam Wing.
Hell yeah!
The Witch from Mercury, Iron-Blooded Orphans, a whole bunch of series that are out of the whole UC timeline. That's
awesome.
Started it all.
I was curious with the way you were talking about it because sometimes that comes much later. So yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, this one had like a whole bunch of series from the UC timeline and all the spin-offs like from the get-go, and they've only been expanding it ever since. So it's been fun.
Yeah, because I need to play as Death Scythe, just chopping things up personally. So
there you go. Yeah, he's one of my favorite units as well. I've got like two or three of them. Yeah, one from Gotcha and the other two that you can just go into Gundam Wing and develop yourself.
Nice.
Alrighty then. So, Yangus, did you have a legit fourth game that you wanted to talk about? I was looking at the list, right?
Yeah, no, I did. Yep.
Go ahead. We'll do yours and then we'll wrap everybody's honorable mentions up.
Okay. Yeah, so I was originally just going to go with 3, but then I'm like, I'll throw in Rollercoaster Tycoon just because that's an easy talk. But this was one that I definitely wanted to talk about. I played this back in, I want to say the fall, like right before Halloween, which pretty good time to play it for what style of game it is. It's called Ender Lilies. I think the full title is Ender Lilies Quietus of the Night, but we're just going to call it Ender Lilies for short. It's easier. This was released in 2021 for multiple consoles, and is a Metroidvania-style game mixed with a few takes from the Dark Souls series, namely how there's rest points that you can stop at, change your equipment, do that kind of stuff with, and enemies will respawn when you die or rest, and it's got a world that's fallen into the brink of destruction. Hooray! But seriously, though, Ender Lilies does have a nice story and lore going on to it. You play as a young girl who's recently awoken in the depths of this old, worn-down cathedral by the spirit of this guardian swordsman, who informs you that you may be one of the Maidens of the White, who is a group that has been fighting back this plague that's spreading across the land called the Blight, that's been affecting the people, the land, and everything that it basically comes into contact with. I could have the names of those two different things wrong with the Blight and the Maidens of the White, but basically it's you were a member of this order that was trying to help fight back this plague that was spreading across the land, and now you've been reawoken to take the place of the ones who have fallen before you. But throughout the journey, this little girl learns that her name is Lily. She discovers what led to various characters and story beats to occur prior to her awakening. She gets to learn about some of her allies who join her in the form of spirits. And eventually she finds out what exactly happened to her mother and sisters if players follow the right path. Gameplay-wise, Lily is able to call upon up to 3 spirits to assist her in her travels. So you start off with the swordsman, who's like your basic attack. As you fight different bosses and enemies and come across different locations, you'll be able to expand your arsenal of spirits you can call upon, which you can change at any of the rest stops and benches that you find. Many of these different spirits will involve different types of attacking styles, such as like something that pierces ahead of you, like a big smashing attack that'll charge up. You have guards and counters, and you have support skills that will increase your ways to explore and access new areas of the world, which that's where kind of the Metroidvania stuff comes into, because, for instance, one of the abilities you get will be to like cling onto a wall, and then you can keep jumping up the wall that way. You'll gain an ability to rush through certain walls that have like these red markings, or crash through the floor in these breakable ceiling tiles or floor tiles. They're always identified by a particular red mark, so the game doesn't like try and hide these things on you. There's some hidden paths that are in areas, but thankfully, even though the map that you have is kind of more on the basic side, it will still let you know, like, hey, if you didn't find everything in this room, it's not going to be highlighted in orange, but once you do get everything, or you found all the paths and the items, then it'll check off itself as an orange color for you to let you know. But as you're going around and exploring the world, you will find different materials to enhance the strength of your spirits, mainly with stuff like shortening their recharge times or extending combo attacks. One in particular that I was a fan of was that, and one that I found myself using a lot, was this knight who would help counter attacks, like physical attacks. When you powered him up, it would not only increase the amount of damage he would do, but it would also cause the enemy to be stunned a lot longer. So if you had a particularly combo heavy, like attacking enemy that you'd come in close contact with, you use that counterattack, it stun them for long enough, you can get some hits in, maybe go ahead re-heal yourself if you need to. So I liked that the game rewarded you for exploring and getting all these enhancements for your allies, so to speak. Cool thing too is that you're able to use 2 different sets of spirits to help out with combat, so it helps open up a lot of options for players, depending on your situation. Personally, I liked using one set that was more for close combat, so I had like an attacker, one that was like a charge attack heavy one, and then one that was a counter. And then I had one that was mainly focused on distance combat, so one that just shot like projectiles, or if something did get close up, I could use an attack to quickly get me out of there, or that would cause like an area of effect sort of thing to happen. So I like that you have a lot of variety for what you can use when you're exploring and fighting enemies, because you're definitely going to need it. And lastly, this game, it really has a really beautiful art style to it and a musical score. The animations and designs for a lot of the characters and locations throughout the game are really well detailed, and there's some pretty gruesome depictions of stuff too. Nothing where it's like I think this game is rated T for teen, so it doesn't get into anything where it's like super grotesque or gory or anything like that. But it's just the way that things are animated and how they're drawn and how they look. It's giving you just like that real gruesome kind of feeling. It really helps showcase how the world has fallen under the curse of this blight, and it's really dehumanized so many things. Not just people, but like animals, like locations. One particular creature you come across is this horse, where you can't really even hardly tell it's a horse without getting a really close look at it. But when you get to one of the rest areas later in the game, it suddenly shows up and your knight pops up and he's just like, there's something coming, it's going to get us. Well, turns out that's your fast travel system. So it's it's kind of a case where you can't judge a book by its cover with some of these things that you come across. So I really liked that attention to the details. It's definitely a case too where observant players will notice that some of these effects that kind of occur throughout the game as you beat major bosses, but the game doesn't necessarily draw attention to it either. So it and some of the other elements kind of add into the times where the game prefers to show you rather than flat out tell you. A good comparison would be if you've ever played Shadow of the Colossus and you've gone through the game, seen what happens to Wander as you beat different bosses. kind of the same thing happens at different points. And when I finally noticed, I know I made a post on the Den Discord where I'm like, holy shit, I never caught that until now because it's so subtle. And it was really well done. I liked it a lot. But got to give a shout out to the music too. It's really well done. A lot of great compositions that were performed by the small music group. A lot of with the piano focused tunes of like rainy and snowy areas. These really haunting strings and brass of the old castles and cathedrals you come across. One track in particular from one of the final areas, it honestly scared me because it just sounded so real with how it's presented and how they recorded it. I can't say how because of spoilers, but when you hear that song and what it all kind of ties into with one of the possible endings you can get, it's like, oh my god! Like it's really, again, it's really good storytelling without flat out saying it to you. But honestly, the bottom line with this one though is this is a game that's a pretty stellar Metroidvania in my opinion, and it's really just a pretty stellar game in general. Like I kind of had my eye on this one when I heard about the sequel coming out because it looked like an interesting game. Found out that there was a prequel. Saw it was on a sale for like $10 or something on the eShop at one point. So it's like, sure, we'll give that a try. See if that'll kind of scratch my itch for one because I've enjoyed going and I've kind of gotten into Metroidvania more as I've gotten a little older, like with the Castlevania games and stuff. But I really love this game a lot. And I found it really hard to put down several of the times when I was playing it. This game, it does have its difficult moments. So that is something to be aware of, but it's one that's really rewarding without being too frustrating. It's definitely a game that, rewards you for your exploration, for checking things out, not only with like some of the lore tidbits that you'll find, some little notes and stuff, and about your main character that you're playing as, but also with new abilities to help you better combat what's going on and what you come across in the game, which was really cool. And I wanted to include this as my last game because this was probably my favorite game that I played all throughout the year in 2025. I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed it. It's got a lot of really good qualities to it. And I think the team that made this, they did a phenomenal job. So I'm really looking forward to checking out its sequel / follow-up game called Ender Magnolia, which from my understanding, it's more of a standalone thing. You don't have to play Ender Lilies to understand what's going on, kind of like how with Dragon Quest, you don't necessarily have to play the previous games to get what's going on, but I'm really looking forward to playing that, but I would highly recommend Ender Lilies if you are a fan of Metroidvanias or if you're looking to play something that just has a really nice art style and presentation to it, and kind of like with the Dragon's Dogma thing, if you can get this one on the sale, then go ahead and go for it. It's worth playing through.
That one sounds like a blast. I think I would bash my head into a wall, but it still sounds fun.
Yeah, I definitely, when you get to it's one of the first few bosses where kind of like, oh, okay, it's kind of one of those games where it's like this big. It's not like, I'm not trying to make this game sound like it's like, oh, it's like super frustratingly difficult or anything like that, but it's one where you can't like go in and like just like mash the attack button or something like that, Definitely one where you have to, like with this big boss that you fight towards the beginning, he's got slow attacks, but if he hits you, it's going to hurt pretty bad. So it's definitely one where you kind of watch them figure out how to dodge around their attack. Then that's when you sneak in a quick hit or two. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and it's got a really interesting world to it as well. Like I said, so game good. Go play game.
Nice. All right. Well, with that, we've wrapped up all the ones that we wanted to give out the biggest shout outs to, but there's still some shout outs left to give. So we'll go straight down from Jen down. If you have any honorable mentions, get ready. And Jen, I'm very interested in one of your honorable mentions. It'll be, I have a feeling it could be one of my 3 that I talk about next year. Go ahead with your honorable mentions.
Sure. Well, one I already mentioned, which is Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD2D Remake. I think we talked about that quite a lot. But Octopath Traveler 2 came out in December of last year, and I got it for Christmas. So I started it last year. I haven't finished it yet, even. I'm really enjoying that game. It is a lot of fun, and they've added a lot of really cool features to it. It's funny because you can run into some of the characters from Octopath Traveler, the original game, and I was talking to my husband about how I kind of want to replay the first, but they've made these games so much better with each iteration that I feel like going back to the first one might actually be difficult because of how many cool things they've added to the game since then. They don't drag quite nearly as much as they did before. The storyline of this one is pretty interesting. You come from a town, things happen, and you are on a quest to rebuild said town. You run into a cast of characters as you go. I believe there's something like 30 or so playable characters in the game. And instead of a team of 4, you have a team of 8, 4 in the front row and 4 in the back row. The 4 in the back row don't actually attack on their turns. They get health and magic back, SP back, every turn. You can freely switch between front and back row each turn you get. It adds a different dimension to the whole break system, where the more you hit monsters with weapons they're weak against, the more you're likely to break them, and when you break them, they lose a turn, and you can wail on them with everything you've got. Really enjoyed the game so far. Have not beaten it yet, so obviously I really can't say much for it. It came out way too late in the year for us to actually, say, hey, it's my top of the year. But I've loved it, and I am impressed with it, and really enjoying the storyline.
All right. That is a game that I wanted to review it. I reviewed the first 2 for RP Gamer, but I was like, I don't know. That's 100 hours. That's what the producer said right away, right off the bat. Was like, oh, this is like a 100-hour game.
Yeah. You get a credit roll kind of in the middle, which threw me off. So,
I gotta go beyond that.
I will say. I'm sorry.
That's cool though. I said no. I want to go beyond that. No, not 1 credit.
You definitely go beyond it. Like when you watch the credits and it's like, oh, it's done. I'm like, what is it all? Is everything else? Like you're like level, like the required level is like 30 something. You're sitting there going, is the game really done at level 30 something? Did I accidentally beat it too soon? No, you didn't. You have to keep playing.
Nice. I cannot wait to get to that. Yeah, that is definitely going to be one of my series of games that I play this year.
I think you'll enjoy it, especially if you like the original too. It also has a lot with the mobile. I haven't played the mobile, but I guess it's brought some characters in from the mobile as well. And perhaps the 8-character battle system is also
it's
part of that.
So basically, it's a remake of the mobile game. It is the mobile game.
Yeah, it's basically like a remake console version of Champions of the Continent that's been on mobile for a long time now.
Yeah, I haven't played it. I was interested in it. And yeah, they brought a bunch of characters from that into the game as well. So I was looking at the list of characters that, are in the games. And obviously everyone from the original shows up, although I haven't run into them all yet. And like I said, I got the credit roll and I haven't run into them all. So then it said there was a bunch of characters from Champions of the Continent, and they're very interesting characters too. I was pleasantly surprised with the characters. So I've really enjoyed the story. I really loved the story of 2. 1 had the weakest story in my opinion. It was a little robotic at times. So it's nice to kind of revisit the characters from 1 in a different environment as well.
Nice. Yeah, I reviewed the first 2 at RP Gamer, and I gave the first one, which was a couple of people on staff were like, really? I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. I loved it.
It was groundbreaking.
I didn't mind. I didn't mind that it was, so broken up or whatever. I was like, who cares? That's just the way this is.
Yeah.
I think we covered it on RPG Backtrack and called it like 32 tales from Astoria. Or
oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I was like, it was like 32 nice little RPG moments, and so I had
Springfield.
yeah, exactly. Like I had connections because Tale 1 had 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, 1-4. And then the second one, it was the only game I've ever rated 5 out of 5 that I've been able to rate. Play early, and my God, I blazed through that game. I had it for like 3 weeks and tried to get. I think it took me like 3 days after release to actually beat it and get my review out, but
oh wow,
I tried really hard to plow through that as fast as I could, and
that game is so good.
I was loving everything.
Yeah, I think that game really enhanced things, and I feel like this one's really, really up the ante even more, in my opinion.
That's awesome.
So I hope you enjoy it as much as I am.
Cool. All right, Yangus, any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, I'll just kind of go through. There's actually a lot of games I played this year that I really liked, but I can only talk about so many. But a lot of them, there's kind of a mixture of them. So some of the mentions I'll throw in as a Little Guardsman, a game where you play as this little girl's got to fill in for her dad who's too lazy to go to work and keeps finding ways to skip out of work, and you have to decide if people can come into the castle town or not. There's the Bunny Graveyard, which is just this kind of a shorter romp of a game, but it's where you start off on this computer game. You end up playing as the cursor who gets sucked into this little. Well, it's kind of one of those things where you're not sure what kind of world it is exactly, but a lot of crazy stuff happens with the air quote protagonist of this game you find yourself in. But anyway, there's Astro's Playroom, which was a little demo game that they included with PS5s. It's a lot of fun, and it inspired a whole new game called Astrobot itself. Basically a full package version of that same idea. There was Saga Frontier 2 Remastered, which super glad that game got remastered as part of this whole Saga resurgence thing that's been going on. I really like how with that game you have the two, instead of focusing on you pick like a protagonist and then play through their story, it's where you have two separate protagonists whose stories are going on a period or perpendicular of each other at the same time. And it's cool too, as you go back and forth, you'll hear about how events in the one story have changed things that go on in a different part of the world in another story, or how you will start hearing about how the one character Gustav, I think he's the Gustav the 14th, if I remember right, where he's now become king, and you'll start hearing about how some of his laws and actions have affected other parts of the world. So that's kind of cool, especially for how they usually do stuff in the Saga games. Capcom Fighting Collection 2, which another collection of different Capcom arcade fighters that have not seen a re-release for a long time. Haven't put quite nearly as many hours into that one as compared to another fighting game collection from Capcom, but it's been well worth playing through and finally getting to experience some of these games. Backyard Baseball 97, which came out on Switch some point last year. I don't remember when. But if you ever played any of the Backyard Baseball games or are a fan of Humongous Entertainment, then it's worth picking up. It's a lot of fun. Plays pretty well on Switch too, though I'm surprised they haven't included mouse controls for like if you're playing on Switch 2 specifically. But then the last one I'll give a shout out to, since everybody kind of already talked about Suikoden 1 and 2 and Dragon Quest 1 and 2 Electric Boogaloo remakes. Last one I'll give a shout out to is Deltarune. Came out with chapters 3 and 4 as well, just being like a full release of chapters 1 through 4. Chapter 3 was a lot of fun. Definitely a little more on the goofy side. Had one of my favorite NPCs from this series so far with Tenna, who's just got like the best intro for a character I've seen in this game yet. And having like the 3D-esque model, like if you ever played Donkey Kong Country, he has a style of model like that. And chapter 4 takes the story in a lot more of on a more heavy emphasis. Definitely was bummed when the game ended, because it's just like, no, you can't leave it on that cliffhanger. We got to wait another year now for chapter 5. So I'm looking forward to that finally dropping this year too. But
I didn't realize that came out. I have to get back on that train. I played chapters 1 and 2 and then was so antsy for the rest. I didn't realize more had come out. That's exciting.
It was in June, I want to say.
Oh, I completely missed it. Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, no problem. It's worth it. I really like chapter 3 a lot. It's not quite as story focused as some of the other parts, but like I said, like it's just a fun little chapter with what goes on. And Tenna, who's like your main character of that chapter who gets introduced, I loved him. He was a riot. He's a great character.
It's fantastic. I
loved
mean,
him.
I think levity is kind of needed with some of the stuff that was starting to happen in the game, so I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, those are all the honorable mentions. I didn't really play a whole lot of new games this year. I kind of just played stuff that I either had been playing or had previously been going through and stuff. Just life was a little weird earlier this year, or I guess last year, I should say. So didn't really feel like playing much of new stuff until I kind of got back into a regular routine, so to speak. So there we go. But yeah, who's next?
Angus hasn't played very much, but he talked 4 games and then like 23 in his honorable mentions.
You want me to tell you about how well, I'm disappointed that Nintendo did not get their review thing out before we did this podcast thing, because I really to see what my number 1 played game was for last year, because I can guarantee
that is surprising here.
Yeah,
I mean, I hate the ones that come out in December, but we're about midway through January. You going to give us our year-end wrap-up, Nintendo? Come on.
Yeah, I'm really surprised they haven't put it out yet.
January 11th already.
People are going to listen to this the day I drop it, and it'll have come out, of course, that day. And
probably, yeah. That seems to happen a lot when we record episodes.
Yeah.
We mention something and then boom, there it is. Or they get announced or something.
Aust, I know you didn't have any other major title you wanted to talk about, but had any little ones that you want to give a shout out
Look
to?
at his list. Look at his list. Look what he has in there.
But Story of Seasons in Spanish, Story of Seasons, Bizarrely Grand, Season of Stories. Yeah, Bizarrely Grand.
Very different game.
All these fan creations.
So I don't have anything that I wanted to talk about at length either because I didn't feel like it was suited for talking about or because of other reasons. Like I played The Sims 1 and 2 Legacy Collections when those came out earlier in the year before they were bought out by a foreign government. And I played some Morrowind here recently, The Elder Scrolls 3. But that's nothing new to me, but I've never talked about it on the podcast. Maybe I will sometime. Really, there's not anything like I've put significant time in beyond those things.
Did you play? I don't remember if it was this year or last year it came out, but did you play that Oblivion remaster or remake, whatever it was?
Yeah, that came out in April last year.
Last year, okay. I couldn't remember if it was this or last year. That seemed like a game that would have been up your alley too.
Well, yeah, I played like a couple of hours of it. The problem is, if you go look at my Steam hours for the Elder Scrolls, like I was not interested in playing Oblivion again. I've played it too many times, and I was actually a little jealous about everybody else. Like, was having so much fun with the remaster, and I just was not interested. I did want to check it out just to see, and they did a really fantastic job of remastering it just because people enjoy Oblivion for like its jank, its bugs and glitches, and it's not supposed to be an immersive experience. And they left all that in the remaster, like, because they just remastered the visuals and some small like balancing adjustments. The actual data files from the original game are still there, and it operates the exact same as it always has. It just looks better. So they did a fantastic job with that.
Interesting. I didn't know about they just reused the source code.
Yeah, they did like some weird magic where they use the original data, and it's like the visuals are in a Unreal Engine wrapper, or maybe it's Unreal. So like I don't know how they managed to do it because it's still using the like Oblivion engine. It's not using Unreal Engine for the game. It's only using it for the visuals, which that's like I said, it's like black magic. But yeah, like I said, I don't have anything else worth talking about really.
All right.
Really hoping we'd hear you talk about Story and Spirits or the Story of Seasons, but in Spanish.
Yeah, I did copy paste the review I wrote earlier this year for it into Google Translate just in case you actually asked me. And I was going to try my best to struggle through the Spanish, but
you should have gone for it. That'd be great.
Ay caramba. Moving
All our
on.
Spanish-speaking audience members are just like, "What's he doing?"
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to do it. Like, someone who speaks Spanish is just embarrassed.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll work for anybody. Our Spanish speakers will cringe. Everybody else will turn it off. And no one will hear.
Spanish.
Actually, I guess, Jay, you got us your honorable mention earlier, didn't you? With Pac-Man World 2. I think he may be muted. You are still muted, Jay. But, okay.
He's gone to fight the dragons, Dogma.
He has. But he did talk about Pac-Man 2 World of Pac. That was his honorable mention. So, Twinkie, we'll go ahead to your honorable mention.
Yeah, so my honorable mention for this year is Donkey Kong Bonanza. You play as Donkey Kong. If you're a Donkey Kong fan, you would really like this game. The biggest highlight with the game was the controls. It had enough weight and feeling where you felt like you were actually playing Donkey Kong. And the destructible environments was something else. Really fun game. It didn't quite make the mark for my top game played this year because it does introduce new puzzle mechanics and stuff like that later in the game, but it doesn't do much with it going forward. So the game gets a little repetitive towards the end of the game, but the superb level design helps up make for it. But otherwise, I think it's a good game. If you like to destroy things, you like Donkey Kong, it's definitely worth looking into.
I was really hoping you were just going to leave it as, dude, you play as Donkey Kong. And that was it.
Good, yeah.
Like drop there, huh? Yeah.
That's it. Dude, you play as Donkey Kong. That's it.
Well, if you like to smash things and you'd like to see them grow back, we can talk about our last honorable mention of the year. Pendy, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, so a quick shout out to Dragon Quest Smash Grow. I was lucky enough to play the beta not too long ago and had a ton of fun with it, especially the multiplayer portion of the game that gets really crazy. The main storyline also has some fun characters, especially Rolly, the cute little floating killing machine from the future. It's a roguelite, and despite never having really played a game like this before, I did enjoy it. You can hear our full impressions of it on Slime Time 114. It's supposed to come out sometime this year at a TBD date, and I'm looking forward to it.
Indeed, this is one. I played it for 2 days, was like, it's not quite for me. I probably should do what I said I was going to do 3 months ago and write a little quick impression of it. I actually haven't even listened to your Slime Time because I was like, I'm going to listen to that Slime Time and I'm going to take some of your ideas and some of my ideas and put them into my impression. And I have done neither. So, oops. Poor
well, we don't even have a release date for the game yet. Just sometime in 2026.
Maybe when we get a release date, I can throw something together and be like, hey, now that we've got a release date, I'll be that one, hit it right at the perfect time.
Yeah,
but
I do like... just real quick. I do like that we are getting it simultaneously or simultaneously with Japan. So there's been issues when we have not had that in the past, like with TAC, or they're both going to release it at the same time. Or it just never happens, even though they announced it.
Or never happens.
I don't want to talk about that. I'm still so sad we didn't get it.
Me too.
Just erase it from your mind.
I already have it. They'll probably shadow drop it right before the 40th coming up here in a few months.
Same day the other one comes out, they're like, "Oh, hey, Sarah, here you go. Here's the eraser game finally."
There will be no events. We stripped it all together. You get a Keshi Keshi 0 offline.
Definitive edition.
And then they'll still shut it down.
You get one day to play it.
It'll be something will be wrong with it, and they never fix it, and that's it.
It's like you get one day to play it. Hurry up.
All right. Well, you've only got one day to listen to this whole podcast. Hopefully, you've made it through.
Episode's gonna be gone. Listen quick.
Yep. That's it for the year end of Slime Time Sidequest, or should I say year beginning, but wrapping up our thoughts about last year. Thanks everyone for joining Yangus and me today to talk about your personal best titles of the last year.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for tolerating
Anytime.
me.
Oh, no. You're not terrible. Yeah, I was going to say you're not terrible at all, or you're completely terrible. You're not, whatever the good one is, no problem. So, as I like to remind people often, we don't crowdsource or dynamically insert ads that you guys don't give two shits about. We're all grown-ass adults here that like to talk about video games and other topics we enjoy, and we don't need a dime of your money to do so. But if you would like to contribute to some Dragon Quest fandom, feel free to head on over to the Dragon's Den and donate some money to Woodus, who's paid to keep those lights on for decades. Or use one of his affiliate links over there to buy Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HE2D. You can pre-order Dragon Quest 7 Reimagined, or, quite literally pretty much anything else on Amazon.
Like some of the games that we talked about. Hint, hint.
Exactly. All right, bye everyone.
Side quest complete.